subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
A large number of arcs spread out towards the entire Golden City, with EC as the center. Lay metallurgy, an ability that Enel used in the original, using high-voltage electricity to generate a lot of heat energy to melt the gold, and then make the melted gold into the shape you want. And now, EC intends to melt down the entire Golden City. Since the Golden Bell was separated from the historical tech steel, it has been without a base. Now, all EC has to do is to create a solid and gorgeous base for the Golden Bell with the gold of the entire Golden City. This is easy. Endless arcs flickered, and the intense heat began to melt the entire Golden City. With such a powerful physique and a lot of physical strength as a steel body, EC wants to melt the Golden City easily. In just a few minutes, countless amounts of gold melted into endless golden yellow liquid substances. Then, with EC's continuous use of the power of thunder, the golden liquid substances began to condense together according to EC's vision. Purify, purify, purify. Refine, refine, refine. The gold liquid substance is continuously agglomerated and refined, and its density has also become larger and larger in this refining and purification. Among the noble phantasms of the king's treasure, a golden bell descended from the sky and landed in front of EC. Immediately afterwards, the Golden City completely turned into a liquid substance and flowed continuously towards the location of the Golden Bell. Under the guidance of EC's will, the golden liquid substance began to condense, solidify, entangle, connect, pattern, harden. In the end, a 9-story golden pedestal with a huge space was seamlessly connected to the Golden Bell. 81 noble phantasm, dawn, landed in the west blue waters. Boom. Dawn, 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 dawn. The bell rang. This time, the sound of the Golden Bell seemed to be louder. As the light of the noble phantasm on the golden clock began to diffuse, gradually, the light of noble phantasm began to spread, all the way to the new golden base below. In an instant, the entire base and the Golden Bell suddenly flashed a rich light. The base and the golden clock are completely integrated at this moment. It was at this moment that the light curtain message of the Golden Bell appeared in front of EC's eyes. Above the light curtain, the Golden Bell's information did not change. However, EC still clearly felt a slight change inside the golden clock with the base. The bells became louder, and the transmission range and distance became wider. When everything calmed down, all kinds of animals living in the small world of Wang Zhibao gradually regained their consciousness. At the moment when the Golden Bell rang, the animals living in the small world of Wang Zhibao fell into silence under the sound of the bell. When the sound of the Golden Bell stopped, everything returned to normal again. Putting the golden clock on the base back into the noble phantasm, EC observed the situation of the small world and left the treasure of the king. The outside world, the room, and the desktop are also placed with Union fruit. Picking up Union fruit, EC's eyes gradually settled on the dawn at his feet. Touching his chin and pondering for a while, EC still put it in the treasure of the king and plans to wait until tomorrow. Speaking of which, the dawn, as EC's royal ship, has never been transformed into a noble phantasm. Therefore, EC thought of dawn at the moment of 270 when he got Union fruit. Simple noble phantasm, EC thought it was meaningless. And now, with Union fruit, dawn can become a special existence like operating table land. Moreover, after dawn has eaten the Union fruit, it will even have the ability to fly through the clouds. In other words, dawn will have the ability to fly in the future. With the ability to fly, dawn's maneuverability can be said to have been greatly improved. Not only that, in the subsequent voyages, whether it is the Grand Line or the world, the dawn won't have to climb the upside down and sail the calm belt again. Even if the consciousness born of dawn can continue to learn, maybe it can become a battleship that can control clouds to fight. Thundercloud, rain cloud, Fire Cloud. Ice Cloud, imagine sailing across the ocean in such a magical vessel. Maybe he's the most beautiful cub in the whole sea. Your Highness, the shower room is ready. At this moment, Monet's voice came from behind. Hearing this, EC stretched out his hands and let Monet take off his clothes and put on a towel for himself. Then, led by Reiju, EC walked to the shower room. Early in the morning, when the sun shines on the sea, Burka Island also slowly fell into a lively atmosphere. The terrifying thunder and lightning last night made people on Burka Island talk a lot today. For this, EC didn't care at all even if he knew about it. When the sun was shining, Dawn slowly sailed out of the port on Burka Island. The purpose of coming to Sky Island has been achieved, and the next step is to leave Sky Island. The purpose of this time is to fall from the top of the western sky and land directly on the West Blue Sea area. The original site of O'Hara is in the West Blue waters. Since getting the noble phantasm of the historical textile, EC has been obsessed with other historical textiles. This time when I went to West Blue, I just wanted to visit the original site of O'Hara. Want to find out if I can find the broken tree of omniscience. More precisely, what EC is looking for is the historical text stone tablet hidden inside the tree of omniscience. Last but not least, take a trip to West Blue. Dawn sailed off Burka Island under the selfless dedication of a pirate group from King Hai. The map of the location of the top of the West fell into EC's hands. Under the guidance of EC, Dawn continued to sail away from Burka Island in the uninhabited Sea of Clouds. EC's observation Haki found a small, isolated island, and the Dawn was docked ashore under the control of navigators. Monet, take the rest to get off the boat first and wait for a while. Looking at the small, isolated island in front of him, EC said to Monet. Hearing this, Monet was stunned for a moment, but quickly nodded in agreement. Although he didn't know why he had to wait for others to disembark first, Monet didn't ask any more questions. He even stopped the two girls, Reiju and Sugar, who wanted to open their mouths to ask. Under Monet's organization, everyone on the Dawn disembarked one after another and stood on the edge of the isolated island. After waiting until only himself was left on the boat, EC slowly floated in the air. He stretched out his hand and waved lightly at the huge and gorgeous Dawn beneath his feet. As the golden ripples spread in circles, the entire Dawn was included in the king's treasure for EC. After that, EC's figure also followed the Dawn and entered the treasure of the king. Inside the king's treasure, a noble phantasm embryo broke open the golden ocean. Under the control of EC, the noble phantasm embryo slammed straight into the Dawn, and in the blink of an eye, it completely merged with it. After the Dawn was completely transformed into a noble phantasm, EC did not directly check the information of the Dawn after the noble phantasm was transformed. Instead, he stretched out his hand, and Yunyun fruit appeared in EC's hand. Holding the Yunyun fruit that turned into a golden noble phantasm, EC slowly pressed it towards the bow of the Dawn. Among the treasures of the king, EC is like a real god. For the fusion of the two noble phantasms, EC can do it flawlessly, with waves of ripples appearing. Gradually, under the control of EC, the bow of the Dawn grew a mouth on the bow. As EC pressed the Yunyun fruit to the mouth finally wrapped the Yunyun fruit and merged into the Dawn. With Dawn fully fused with Yunyun fruit, waves of golden ripples began to spread around from the center of Dawn. Immediately afterwards, under EC's surprised gaze, a 5-year-old girl slowly formed on the deck of the Dawn. Looking at the girl who was gradually condensing and forming, EC couldn't help but open his mouth. Devil fruit, will substantiation, Dawn soul, or ship spirit. Under EC's astonished gaze, the girl's body was completely condensed and formed, and a small golden skirt covered her body. With a white face with melon seeds and a pair of watery eyes that slowly opened under the curved eyebrows, the whole person looked extremely cute. Dad, after the girl opened her eyes completely, EC's figure was reflected in her pupils. The small lips opened and closed, and EC was completely stunned when his father called out. 3 big question marks flashed across his head and a black line appeared on EC's face. In a flash, EC came to the girl. Reaching out his hand to squeeze her tender face, EC looked in her eyes and said with a serious expression, "Don't call me Dad. I'm only 9 years old. Call me brother." A confused light flashed, and the girl tilted her head. With the appearance of EC, he cried out in a milky voice, "Brother, brother." Hearing this, a smile appeared on EC's face, and he reached out and touched the little girl's head. "Yes, you will call me brother from now on." After speaking, EC touched his chin and looked at the girl with a look of enjoyment. "By the way, it's time to give you a name, so it's convenient to call you. You were born on the dawn, so take a relevant name." Dawn basically means the time when it's almost dawn. 35, in contrast, dawn also has this meaning. "Then, your name will be Akatsuki from now on." As he spoke, he wrote the word Akatsuki in midair. Looking at the words that appeared in the air, Xiao tilted her head. As if she understood, Zhao's eyes narrowed slightly, and the whole person laughed happily. Okay, I have a name, Xiao He." Looking down at Xiao, who happily clapped her little hand, EC's mouth also traced a smile. A light curtain appeared in front of him, and Zhao's message was also printed into EC's eyes. Noble Phantasm, Dawn Xiao, Union Fruit Ability / Ship Spirit / No Side Effects. Type: Active Noble Phantasm. Type: Fixed Noble Phantasm, Liberation, Sailing Grandmaster, Automatic Repair after hull damage, Free Generation and Manipulation of Clouds to fly or attack. Overall Elementalization / Partial Elementalization. Looking at the information in the light curtain in front of him, EC also fully understood Akatsuki's identity. "I didn't expect that after the dawn was integrated into the Union Fruit, a ship spirit would be born. As for Akatsuki's ability, in addition to being able to freely control the dawn, there is also the ability after liberation. After the hull is damaged, it is automatically repaired. As the name suggests, a boatman will be needed in the future. In other words, navigators, sailors, and helmsmen can all be laid off in the future. Xiao can understand the nautical chart, can directly control the dawn, and can repair it automatically. Therefore, many people can be laid off. Secondly, freely generate and control clouds to fly or attack. Needless to say, this is the ability of Union Fruit. Finally, the overall elementalization and the partial elementalization. The overall elementalization is easy to understand. Just like a person, the whole person is directly transformed into a cloud element. Part of the elementalization is also easy to understand. When the policeman's attack was about to hit the dawn itself, Xiao was able to turn the ontology of that area into a cloud element, so as to avoid the enemy's attack and avoid damage to the body of Dawn. Overall, Akatsuki, or Dawn, overall is pretty good. EC chatted with Zyokian for a few minutes, and then brought Xiao and Dawn body to Monet and others. Looking at the Golden Dawn, Monet and the others were shocked and realized that the Dawn had also been transformed into a noble phantasm by EC. When everyone boarded Dawn again, EC also introduced Xiao to everyone. For a while, Zhao's appearance also made everyone exclaimed. Among them, the operating table and seems to have found the same kind and surrounds Akatsuki all the time. After some introduction and familiarity, Xiao started her first official voyage. Under the guidance of the nautical chart, Akatsuki controlled the formation of clouds below the dawn to carry the dawn. Then the clouds carried the dawn away from the sea of clouds and floated in the air. Under the guidance of the nautical chart, dawn began to fly towards its destination. It was my first time on this flying boat, and the whole boat, whether it was EC or the rest, was a novelty. And because of Akatsuki's presence, all sailors, helmsmen, and navigators have officially announced their layoffs. For a while, the deck also became lively. Ding 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 dong ding dong ding dong soon. With the sound of music, the ship began to sing and dance. This was the first time that the ship sang and danced since going to sea. In the past, each voyage was busy, but now, with Akatsuki, everyone who was relaxed began to feel happy. Moreover, Akatsuki does not need to stay in a fixed place all the time when he is controlling Dawn. With a single thought, he could control the Dawn, so Akatsuki happily ran around on the deck. Sitting on the armchair, with Monet's headlights swaying slightly. EC looked at the cheerful crowd on the deck. This is the first time the dawn has been so lively. 35 hearing this. Monet also smiled lightly, looked at the sugar running around with Xiao, and nodded in agreement. Yes, every Voyage 1.0 is busy, and this is the first time indeed. With the birth of Akatsuki, dawn became extremely lively along the way. 10 days later, dawn reached the top of the western sky. Xiao controls the dawn and directly leaves the sky current channel of the top of the west sky. Towards the bottom of the top of the western sky, it continued to descend. Finally, after half a day, dawn sailed again on the surface of Qinghai. The landing port of the top of the west sky is located in the sea area of West Blue. It also means that EC and others are now in the waters of West Blue. P.S. Hey, I looked at a reader's great suggestion. Turn the protagonist's car into a noble phantasm. After seeing it, the author thought it was good, so he arranged such a show. It was originally intended not to turn the protagonist's vehicle into a noble phantasm, because the follow-up is to arrange for the protagonist to pass through the Fishmen Island several times. However, after thinking about the noble phantasm, the problem is not big, so I refer to the opinions of readers. The protagonist's car is also treasured, and a cloud fruit is added, so that the protagonist's car has the ability to fly. Therefore, if readers have any suggestions, the author will add them to his follow-up outline as appropriate. Ahem, one more thing. Don't say that the fruit is just wasted, or why not keep it for Nami? That's how it was arranged, and it's not a waste. After all, the car can fly. Also, why not keep it for Nami? Let's talk about it. First of all, the protagonist and Nami do not know each other. And secondly, there's another devil fruit suitable for Nami. 82. West Blue auctions the holy land of Coconut Island and divides forces again, His Royal Highness, according to the chart. We have now reached the West Blue waters. On the bow deck of the Dawn, Monet was reporting his current position to EC. Now, the nearest island to us is the famous auction mecca of West Blue Coconut Island. 99. His Royal Highness. Does Dawn need to stop at Coconut Island to rest? Hearing this, EC's eyes suddenly lit up slightly. Are you at West Blue? In that case, let Dylan and the others refer to what they were doing at North Blue. 35. Let's split up and collect swordsman swords, scientists, devil fruit news, and ability people from all over the West Blue. As for Coconut Island, let Dawn dock there. 99. Monet nodded lightly, and just as he was about to leave, he suddenly asked again. By the way, Your Highness, if Dylan and the others go out, when will they need to meet? 35. EC couldn't help reaching out and patted his head after hearing Monet's words. I almost forgot about this one. There's no need to be like North Blue this time. Speaking of which, we shouldn't be staying long at West Blue. It should only be about a month to 3 months. Dylan and the others don't have to join us during this time. When we're about to reach the Upside Down Mountain, we will inform them again, and finally we can meet directly at the Upside Down Mountain. Monet wrote down all the words EC said, then turned and left. EC, on the other hand, rubbed his chin and thought about what he needed at West Blue. After thinking about it, EC thought about it, and found that he didn't seem to need much in West Blue. Nowadays, there's really nothing in the world that can attract EC. Apart from the things that Monet had just instructed to notify Dylan and others, the only thing left was the historical text stone tablet. First of all, be sure to go to the O'Hara site to confirm whether the historical text stone tablet sank to the bottom of the sea. Secondly, let's see if you can find Nico Robin. After all, in the original book, she also found a historical text stone tablet when she was wandering. 5 on this side, just as EC was thinking about other things. Dylan and others also began to act after receiving Monet's mission. Because of Akatsuki's existence, Dawn doesn't need too many sailors. So this time Dylan and others brought a little more manpower. Dylan, Ellie, She-Mastiff, Orton, Aldo, and the members of the Apocalypse team all set up their own teams. That is to say, there are about 13 teams alone. P.S. The 2 members of the Apocalypse team who escorted the scientists back to China were removed. Then all the sailors, helmsmen, and navigators on the ship were evenly divided into 13 teams. In the end, when Dylan and others split up and drove the boats to leave the Dawn. At this moment, only EC and Monet were left on the Dawn, as well as the maids and a few chefs. Suddenly, the entire Dawn became quiet and deserted. On the deck, Sugar and the operating table, and is doing anatomy studies for her beast toys. Monet and Reiju waited on either side of EC's cloud chair. The rest of Xiao is sitting on EC's lap, shaking his little feet. Brother they have left. 35 after discovering that the ships of Dylan and others were far away from each other. Xiao turned his head and said something to EC. Hearing this, EC nodded, pondered for a while, and said, Then let's stop at Coconut Island first. 99, auction Holy Land. There must be a lot of auction items. Go and see if you can auction off something useful. Okay. Hearing this, Xiao shook his little feet and controlled the Dawn to sail in the direction of Yegua Island. For the actions of Dylan and others this time, they are basically consistent with the actions of North Blue. However, since EC's strength has been greatly improved, therefore, EC will no longer be troubled by the problems after exposure. Strength is EC's current confidence, although this behavior is somewhat similar to robbers. However, in order to improve their own strength and kingdom heritage, what should be done is still to be done. EC didn't advertise himself as a good guy from the start. Even, EC has always thought of himself as a selfish person. Although he hates pirates, what EC really hates is the chaotic and evil behavior of pirates. Pirates will have a negative effect on themselves and the kingdom, so EC hates them. In any case, as a prince, EC must look at people and things from the standpoint of the kingdom. So for pirates, EC is disgusted. And EC didn't think there was anything wrong with collecting swordsman's saber, devil fruit, etc. by himself. Whether it was a willing sale, a forced buy or forced sale, or a direct robbery, EC has no regrets at all. Looking at it this way, EC is simply a selfish person. However, EC didn't feel anything bad about being this kind of person. In this deformed world, people are not for themselves, and the world will be destroyed. If EC doesn't want to do everything he can to make himself stronger, then he may die without knowing when. If EC doesn't want to do everything he can to make the kingdom stronger, then the kingdom may be destroyed without knowing when. And all of this has long been doomed that EC can't be a good person. As long as it doesn't violate his bottom line, EC will do it without hesitation. The core idea of EC has never changed. What's mine is mine, what's yours is mine, and what's others is also mine. As long as I am strong, I can dominate everything. 270 so, no matter how mild EC's daily performance is, deep in his heart, he is still extremely domineering. However, due to the lack of strength before, the domineering thoughts in his heart can only be suppressed repeatedly. Now, with the continuous improvement of its own strength and the power of the kingdom, its domineering will has begun to slowly release. Half a day later, Coconut Island, the holy land of West Blue auctions, is just around the corner. Coconut Island, because it is the closest island to the top of the West Sky, there will be a lot of Sky Island and West Blue specialties here. Therefore, a large number of pirates, marines, mafia, underground underworld, and other forces gathered here. Over time, all the forces gathered here and slowly marked this place as a neutral location. Various auction houses have sprung up one after another, turning Yegua Island into the current West Blue auction mecca, one of the largest and most famous auction houses. It was built by Hidden Kyberson, one of the underground emperors of the Dark World. Hidden Master Kibson, one of the underground emperors of the Dark World. The main business of the business is cargo warehousing, which controls the field of commodity supply. The management of goods in the Dark World is not easy. After all, many goods are prohibited, and management of this part also requires certain means. And Kibson can infiltrate the underground emperor-level police in the Dark World. It can be seen that its power is not as obscure as the original. 83 participate in the auction. Kinsan Island permanent pointer at the port of Coconut Island. The Dawn stopped in a remote location. At this moment, standing on the deck, EC could feel the malice coming from all directions. He looked around at the pirates with greedy eyes. EC's eyes narrowed slightly, and he said to Monet beside him, "Wait a minute. Reiju and I go to Coconut Island to see what's good. Monet, you, Sugar, and Akatsuki just stay on the Dawn. If there's an enemy attack, kill them all directly. There's no need to keep them. 5 here, basically no one is your opponent with your strength." Hearing this, Monet nodded. "Yes, Your Highness." On the side, Xiaotang also took Monet's hand and said with a smile, "Don't worry. My Beast Toy army is very strong. At that time, there is no need for my sister to take action at all, and my Beast army will be able to kill them." EC stretched out his hand and squeezed Sugar's face, then walked off the Dawn with Reiju. Observation Haki spread, and soon, an auction venue with a large area and an unusually ornate building was discovered by EC. With Reiju, EC walked slowly towards the largest auction house. For this auction island, EC mainly wants to see what famous knives or devil fruits there are. However, after EC took Reiju into the street, a group of people soon surrounded EC and the two. Jia. I didn't expect that 2 little devils would come here without knowing the sky. Boss, the good stuff. Look at this kid and that chick. TSK. You can definitely buy a big price. That's right. Boss, we're going to make a fortune. I've never seen anything so good. 35 in the center of the crowd. EC's ears moved slightly after hearing these words, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. In an instant, EC understood that these people were human traffickers. Before Reiju could do it, the arc of EC's body flickered quietly. Then there was a roar. At this moment, endless lightning suddenly erupted with EC as the center. Zizizi. Above the ground, there are high-intensity arcs. The arcs converge and directly form a current carpet. The current carpet expanded instantly, and wherever they passed, a large number of traffickers turned into coke without reacting at all. Even EC hasn't let go of those corpses that have turned into coke. The arc jumped, and even the corpse turned into coke at this moment and began to turn into crumbs. Ta-ta-ta, with the sound of footsteps. EC and Reiju walked slowly towards the location of the auction venue without stopping, as if everything was trivial. Around, other people who were originally watching the play also shuddered violently at the moment when the footsteps sounded. Looking at the route of EC and Reiju, in front of them, a large number of people suddenly squeezed towards both sides with expressions of horror. A passageway appeared in front of EC and EC abruptly. It was not until the figures of EC and C disappeared completely that the people around them slowly calmed down. Gudon, an instant, it turned into crumbs. That boy, who is he? 99. Hey, you can actually control the power of lightning. 35, that look of indifference and calmness, didn't even blink an eye. Why have I never seen them? How could they be unknown with this level of strength? Is there a possibility that they just went to sea? Hey, as soon as these words were said, the people around took a deep breath. EC's heart did not fluctuate in the slightest about the matter of solving a little mess. With Reiju, EC unimpeded all the way to the largest auction house in Coconut Island. After randomly picking up 2 numbered tickets, EC and the two directly found a seat on the first floor of the hall and sat down. Looking around the inside of the auction house, EC found that the layout of the auction house was very simple. Whether it is the first floor or the second floor of the hall, the seats are all open, and there are no rooms such as boxes. EC was also quite surprised by this. After all, generally speaking, auction houses should pay attention to such things. However, EC also figured it out when he thought of the fact that on this island of coconut palms, except for the nobles, everyone else has it. While pick up a list of auction items at your desk at will. EC looked down slowly and found that most of the auction items were Sky Island slaves, Sky Island shells, Sky Island creatures. All kinds of Sky Island-related auction items. Frowning slightly, EC was thinking about whether to leave first. Suddenly, EC found a few things that he was very interested in on the auction item on the second page. Among them, the 4 weapons made EC feel that he might have misunderstood. The famous sword, Guanshi Zhangzong, was unearthed in the ruins of the Arad Empire in an unknown era. It is said to be the saber of Shilon, one of the four swordsmen of the Arad Empire. The famous sword, the Hurricane Short Sword, was unearthed in the ruins of the Arad Empire in an unknown era. The famous sword, the Golden Blunt Hammer, was unearthed in the ruins of the Arad Empire in an unknown era. The famous sword, the Hidden Dragon Greatsword, was unearthed in the ruins of the Arad Empire in an unknown era. Rubbing his eyes, EC looked down at the auction item list in his hand again. That's right. The bright 3 words of Arad made EC confirm that he must have read it right. Turning his head, EC asked Reiju beside him. Reiju, you grew up in Vinsmoke. Have you heard of the Arad Empire? Aside, Reiju, who was also checking the auction list, was taken aback for a moment. With a thoughtful look in his eyes, Reiju pondered for a while and finally shook his head. Arad Empire? I haven't heard of it. 35? Your Highness, are you interested in the 4 weapons on this list? 55 saying that, Reiju pointed to the auction item list in his hand. Hearing this, EC nodded lightly and didn't ask any more questions. It looked like he was really overthinking it. This so-called Arad Empire may just happen to have the same name. It's like the Black Tiger off Fu I met before, and it's just the same name. Besides, as far as I know, Arad is actually a continent, not an empire name. Also, the 4 sword saints that I know are not all sword saints who belong to the same empire. Moreover, with the power of the well-known Arad, it is more than enough to blow up the world of pirates. After all, before the time travel, the 3 senses of the elemental master could explode. Thinking of this, EC couldn't help but think of those green years in his previous life. Come, make money with money. Dueling arena. Whoever uses colorless is a dog. Double knives are not colorless. 5W for scholars. Autumn leaves. 30W for ink bamboo. 150W for Chi Huang. 200W for fine snow. 2W5 with Zombie King. Come and drive +++. Is it safe, brother? Don't be blind in group play. The fake pig cover is the best in the world. Thoughts diverged for a while. EC shook his head. After focusing his mind again, EC stopped thinking about this matter. However, EC was still very interested in these 4 weapons, so I decided to wait and film them all. And in addition to these 4 weapons, EC also saw a permanent pointer of Chinsun Island. Maybe someone doesn't know where Chinsun Island is. However, after EC decided to visit the O'Hara ruins, he found out that Chinsun Island was the closest island to O'Hara through the Kingdom Intelligence Department. You know, O'Hara has been sunk by Buster Call. The so-called O'Hara permanent pointer is basically gone. That being the case, if you want to go to O'Hara, you can only arrive at Chinsun Island first. And now, coincidentally, there is a permanent pointer auction on Chinsun Island. EC also paid a little attention. 84 the auction is over, sailing to Kinsan Island Pad. As the number of people in the auction room increased, an auctioneer was already standing on the side of the auction table. When the auction time came, with a crisp sound, everyone in the auction hall focused on the auction table. Everyone is welcome to attend this auction. 35. I'm the auctioneer who presides over this auction. Hook fishing. I believe everyone has been impatient to wait. So without further ado, now, let's start our auction. I have the first auction item, the magical shellfish, smoked shellfish from Sky Island. The starting price of this auction is 100,000 Baileys, and each increase shall not be less than 100,000 Baileys. Now the auction begins. 35 slap when the auction started. EC and Reiju both sat firmly in their seats and did not bid. On the auction floor, there were endless calls for bids one after another. As time went by, each auction item was auctioned out in turn. It was not until an hour later that the permanent pointer of Kinsan Island, which EC valued, was brought to the auction. The next auction item is a permanent pointer, and the island to which this permanent pointer is pointing is Chinsun Island in our west blue .99 Chinsun Island, the nearest island to O'Hara. Those who want to find the ruins of O'Hara, don't miss it. The starting price of this 270 auction items is 1 million Bailey, and each increase shall not be less than 100,000 Bailey. As the auctioneer's words fell, Reiju raised the number plate in front of him. 2 million Baileys. Immediately, the atmosphere in the auction hall became slightly quiet. No one thought that someone would directly double the price. Although they saw Reiju, who was a little younger, some people in the auction hall changed their expressions because these people have seen EC Dafa Kamui before. Therefore, in the absence of bids, the permanent pointer of Kinsen Island was taken by Reiju. Afterwards, as the 4 weapons unearthed in the Arad Empire were put on the auction table, EC also slowly sat up straight. Next, the auction will be these 4 weapons that have just been unearthed. On the auction stage, the auctioneer pointed to the 4 swords on the stage. According to our investigation at the unearthed site, these 4 weapons all came from the same place. Furthermore, after testing by our auction house, these 4 weapons have reached extremely high quality. Its hardness, toughness, and sharpness are of a very high standard. Now, Kba, 4 weapons are bundled for auction. Starting price, 100 million Bailey. Every time the price is increased, it must not be less than 10 million Baileys. As the auctioneer's words fell, there was an uproar in the entire auction house. What the hell? For little-known weapons cost 100 million Baileys. Extremely high quality, how high? Is this taking us as a scapegoat? Are you crazy about money? Forget it. With this money, I might as well buy a known famous knife. That's right, it costs 100 million Baileys. EC listened to the discussions around him and raised the number plate in his hand unhurriedly. 110 million Baileys. 35 on the auction stage. The auctioneer especially heard the voices of everyone in the venue. Originally, the auctioneer thought these weapons would be sold out. I didn't expect that there would actually be people bidding. In response, the auctioneer quickly tapped the table with a small hammer. Very well, the guest number 775-8258 has bid 110 million Baileys. Anyone else increase the price? As the auctioneer diligently presided over, there were scattered people in the auction hall holding up their number plates. However, EC didn't say much with a calm look on his face. But after seeing that no one raised a card, he finally quoted the price of 200 million Bailey. 200 million Bailey. Anyone else want to increase the price? 200 million Bailey for the first time. 35 The auctioneer looked around and found that no one raised a placard. 200 million Bailey's second time. 200 million Bailey for the third time. Congratulations. Number 775-8258 successfully took these 4 auction items. Slap with the small hammer falling. The 4 weapons were successfully auctioned off by EC. Then, in the next auction, EC and Reiju never participated again. After all, neither of them had the slightest interest in those things. 3 hours later, the auction ended. EC and Reiju went to the backstage of the auction to settle the transaction. Put the 4 weapons and the Chinsun Island permanent pointer into the treasure of the king. EC walked out of the auction with Reiju. Next, EC took Reiju around the whole Coconut Island. After finding nothing to gain, the 2 returned to Dawn. Back to port, EC and Reiju saw the snow sculptures near Dawn at a glance. In this crazy world, there is never a shortage of brainless people. After the noble phantasm was transformed, the Golden Dawn was an incomparably huge wealth for these pirates. Unable to hold back their greed, these people attacked the Dawn. Then, everyone was turned into a snow sculpture by Monet. Ever since he suffered a loss from the Black Tiger, A Fu, Monet has been constantly striving for strength. After this period of practice, his strength has also been greatly improved. The more skilled the 2-color Haki master is, the more Grandmaster the Snow Fruit is developed. Even in Taijutsu, Monet picked it up again and started practice. Therefore, these West Blue pirates do not need the army of beast toys of sugar at all, and Monet solved it by himself. At the port, EC and Reiju ignored the snow sculptures and boarded the Dawn unhurriedly. Xiao, go to Kinsen Island. He casually threw the permanent pointer of Kinsen Island to Xiao. EC said, Okay. Akatsuki caught the permanent pointer of Kinsan Island with both hands, ran aside, and began to control the Dawn to leave the port. EC sat on a chair, looked at the snow sculptures at the port, and asked Monet beside him. Among those snow sculptures, are there any devil fruit-capable people? Nien hearing this, Monet gently shook his head. No, originally I was thinking of fishing, but unfortunately I didn't catch it. On the side, Sugar also spoke softly. Your Highness, this Coconut Island is really too poor. The toys that I quietly sent to Coconut Island to inquire about also didn't find a devil fruit person. Speaking of this, Sugar's tone was also a little depressing. Those pirates, all of them are ordinary people. EC raised his brows slightly after listening to the two women's words. I still think that there will be some harvests in Coconut Island, who knows? Apart from those in the auction house, there is no other harvest. La la la, Dawn sets sail, target, Chinsen Island. Akatsuki's voice sounded. At this time, Dawn had already left Coconut Island and started sailing towards Chinsen Island. 85. Fusion of four swordsmanship. Sublimation of one's own kendo, because Dylan and others have already divided their troops and went to West Blue. Now, the entire Dawn is a little bit deserted. Sitting on the cloud chair, EC squinted slightly and took a rest before remembering the four famous knives that he had put into the king's treasure. With a thought, EC's consciousness sank into the treasure of the king. Immediately, inside the treasure of the king, EC's consciousness saw four famous swords floating in the air. How the golden light rushed out of the golden ocean of the treasure of the king and floated above the sea. Afterwards, the four noble phantasm embryos quickly merged with the four famous knives. The light flickered and the golden light overflowed. Soon, four noble phantasms were suspended in front of EC's consciousness. Noble phantasm, Guanshizingzong, type, actively effective noble phantasm, type, inherent noble phantasm, liberation. Extreme swordsmanship meteor fall, controlling multiple flying swords to fall from the sky to attack. Noble phantasm. Hurricane short sword type, active noble phantasm, type, inherent noble phantasm, liberation. Extreme swordsmanship breakthrough, cut out the sword energy and explode into a multi-stage attack. Noble phantasm. Gold blunt hammer type, active noble phantasm, type, inherent noble phantasm, liberation. Extreme swordsmanship instant kill. The figure flashes instantly and crosses the distance to attack. Noble phantasm. Hidden dragon great sword type, active noble phantasm, type, inherent noble phantasm, liberation. Extreme swordsmanship Wanjian Guizong. Swordsmanship is sublimated to imperial swordsmanship, and sword intent condensing sword can be manipulated and attacked. Looking at the information in the light curtain in front of him, EC's consciousness couldn't help being stunned. This familiar feeling. Could it be that even if I pass through, I can't escape the fate of guarding Arad? But I have no money to protect Arad. With a shock, EC's consciousness broke away from the treasure of the king and returned to the outside world. On the cloud chair, EC slowly opened his eyes. A gleam of light flashed across his eyes, and the perception of the next four sword moves instantly flooded into EC's heart. The huge experience of swordsmanship has made EC constantly comprehend a genre called extreme swordsmanship. In a blink of an eye, the air around EC began to be cut by invisible energy. Buzzing sounds continued to flicker out, and Ling Lai's sword forced Monet's three girls to retreat. "Sister, what's the matter, Your Highness?" While hiding behind Monet, Xiatang looked at EC worriedly and asked. His Royal Highness should be cultivating this amazing swordsmanship aura. Hearing this, Monet looked at EC's twinkling eyes and subconsciously answered Sugar's question. "Let's retreat a little bit. Your Highness should have made a breakthrough in swordsmanship." Aside, Reiju, who followed EC to the auction house, remembered the four famous knives he had taken. Immediately, Reiju, who had reacted, hurriedly reminded Monet and Sugar. With Reiju's reminder, Monet and Sugar retreated a little from Reiju again. Clang! At this moment, a shocking sword cry sounded. At this moment, the sword force emanating from EC's body became sharper and sharper. At this moment, countless figures of various kendo schools continued to permeate within the sword force emanating from EC. At this time, in the treasure of the king, the countless sword-type noble phantasms above the sky began to tremble wildly with golden light. A sword-type noble phantasm opened Shichibukai. See burial knife, Pluton knife, swordsman saber, countless kendo insights flooded into EC's mind. At this moment, the extreme swordsmanship created by EC's perception of many kendos was once again impacted. In the depths of the soul, there seems to be a villain who is constantly demonstrating various styles of swordsmanship. Slowly, the villain of the soul began to become more and more solid in the process of continuous rehearsal. At the same time, with the constant drill of the villain in the depths of the soul. On EC, the mixed kendo aura continued to merge. The powerful aura began to devour the weak aura crazily. Gradually, as the kendo aura became more and more pure, an extremely pure golden light began to emerge gradually. For some reason, EC's eyes were closed. With a subconscious grip of his right hand, a weapon appeared in EC's hand. Schwa the heart moved at will, and the weapon in his hand was waving at the front of the dawn at will. I saw that golden slashes flew away from the front of EC continuously. On the side, Monet and others felt the slashes. Everyone's hair stood up involuntarily. The extremely dangerous sense of lethality made everyone on board dare not approach. Even Monet's 3 daughters, who had been far away from EC, chose to stay away again. Swoosh! Suddenly, EC's eyes snapped open. A golden light flashed in EC's eyes. The figure disappeared instantly on the deck and appeared on the sea in the distance. Ultimate swordsmanship meteor fall. The figure disappeared in the eyes of everyone, and then endless swords began to fall from the sky into the sea. Bang, 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 bang. The sword fell into the sea with a loud explosion. Countless swords pierced through the sea at this moment and fell straight to the bottom of the sea. Boom! A loud bang sounded. The swords that fell straight to the bottom of the sea suddenly exploded. Waves as high as 1,000 meters were blown up, and the nearby sea began to be unpredictable. As a last resort, Shao can only control the dawn and fly away from the sea. Extremely divine, swordsmanship breakthrough, slash. A light drink. I don't know when EC reappeared on the sea and slashed forward with a sword in hand. Call out. This time was different from the usual condensed slash. At the moment when EC slashed, there was no huge and condensed slash as usual. Instead, there was a wave of invisible sword energy in front of EC. The invisible sword energy seemed to concentrate an imaginary enemy. At the moment when it exploded, streaks of sword light quickly interspersed not far ahead. 4 flowers 0 extremely divine swordsmanship. Instant kill. Taking a step forward, EC's figure crossed a distance of 100 meters and appeared 100 meters away in an instant. In the space that spanned, the sword energy condensed at one point appeared in the invisible imaginary enemy. A bit of sword energy exploded in an instant, and the endless sword energy set off a sword blade storm around the imaginary enemy. Countless sword lights shuttle back and forth continuously, and the sharp-edged sword intent is shocking. Extremely divine, swordsmanship drawing sword. On the sea, EC did not stop after practicing the instant kill. The sword in his hand was at his waist, and he grabbed the handle of the sword with his right hand and slammed it hard. Pull the tachi back slightly along the waist, when the tachi is horizontal to the hand tendon. With a bang, a circular arc flashed away. With EC as the center, the arc light instantly expands into a 1,000-meter circle. Even after its expansion, it is still spreading rapidly into the distance at a speed invisible to the naked eye. Not far away, Akatsuki's pupils shrank suddenly at the moment when she felt that Dawn was about to encounter danger. His subconscious effort fully elementalized the Dawn. It was at this moment that an arc invisible to the naked eye passed through the elemental Dawn in a flash. Looking at the circular crack that seemed to cut through the space, everyone on the Dawn couldn't help swallowing their saliva. The arc continued to go away, and the cracks that had been cut open slowly began to heal. But EC's movements didn't mean to stop. Ultimate Sword Art Space Time /SHHH. On the sea, EC's hands quietly arced. The shining arcs kept jumping between the hands, stimulating EC's meridians to tighten up in both hands. Immediately afterwards, EC's eyes looked ahead as if he saw an imaginary enemy. The sword in his hand slashed into 3 sections in an instant. Click, click, click. 3 knives cut out this moment. The space in front of EC seemed to have been chopped to pieces. Unlike drawing a knife and slashing the dark crack, this time, EC seemed to really cut through the space. The space that was chopped up by 3 knives was constantly surging with a terrifying black aura. Boom! The black aura was exposed in the air and then exploded instantly. One after another, things like space debris fell into the sea, instantly dissipating the nearby seawater. When everything is back to normal, the seawater is poured back. EC did not leave his position, but stood quietly above the sea. The seawater ripples under the feet, with EC as the center, spread out in circles toward the surrounding. At this moment, EC's eyes seemed to be able to shoot a scorching light. The golden sword energy surging around him set off EC like a golden sword god. When the swordsmanship reaches the top, when the swordsmanship is detached, when the sword in the hand escapes, then it will be sublimated. A soft murmur came from EC's mouth. At this moment, as if he had understood clearly, a shocking sword light burst out from EC's eyes. The sword in his hand shook violently. Extreme God, Yujianyu. Storm Sword Formation. Plus, 86 The Ascension of Kendo Ultimate Sword Ryu Ultimate God Yujian Lu Storm Sword Formation. Clang. In an instant, endless golden ripples surrounded the surroundings. A golden noble phantasm sword emerged from the golden ripples in the air. Blade tip, blade body hilt. In the blink of an eye, golden swords were inserted everywhere on the sea. Above the sky, a golden sword is also suspended. At this moment, the area surrounded by golden treasures and swords seemed to be stagnant. The original drop was blasted into the sky and then fell from the sky. When entering the range of the storm sword formation, it suddenly seemed to be stopped. There is no way to continue falling down, and there is no other change. Infinite slash. Swish, 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 swish. EC's figure flashed into the sword formation. Endless swords the light keeps flickering. On the dawn, Monet and the others seemed to see EC where every sword was located. Every time, EC's figure will appear where 287 is now a sword. Then, the sword was instantly pulled up by EC and flashed into the sword formation again. Clang! When the last sword was drawn by EC, a sonorous sound rang out, followed by a dazzling golden slash from the sword formation. In an instant, the golden slash broke open the sea. The powerful force split the sea in two in the blink of an eye. The sea surged frantically to both sides, hanging high in the air, like a waterfall that covered the sky and the sun. The seabed under thousands of meters of deep sea is exposed to sunlight. On the seabed, a fine sword mark suddenly appeared. In the next second, the entire seabed cracked. A deep ravine as long as 1,000 meters was carved into it. This shocking scene made everyone on the Dawn couldn't help exclaiming. Boom boom after a long time. The remaining power of the slash dissipated. With a loud roar, the sea water poured back into the gully again. Not long after, the endless sea water returned to its original position. However, the constantly rising waves made everyone understand that everything just below was real. Yon electric arc flashed on his body, and EC's figure appeared in the air. This time, EC was suspended in midair, his eyes slightly closed. After a while, an obscure wave appeared from EC's body. Then, the dagger in EC's hand swung violently. An invisible wave instantly diffused out. At the same time, the golden ripples of the king's treasure also appeared again. This time, golden ripples and invisible waves overlapped each other. At the moment when the power of wave reached its limit, a low voice sounded from EC's mouth. Ultimate God Yuji and Leodark Sky Wave Eye. In an instant, darkness descends. With EC as the center, the nearby 100 kilometers were completely plunged into darkness. On the Dawn floating in the air, Monet and the others instantly felt that their eyes were useless. Sister, sister, Aside, Xiaotang suddenly screamed after feeling the boundless darkness. "Don't be afraid. I'm here." Reaching out to hold Sugar's little hand, Monet quickly opened his mouth to comfort him. "Everyone should stand still and don't move. His Highness is just experimenting with swordsmanship. We will be fine." After softly comforting Sugar, Monet said something loudly behind him. Along the side of the boat, Reiju kept turning his head around while holding on to the railing. "Hey, what ability is this? If my eyes can't see, why doesn't my observation Haki work?" Hearing this, Monet also released his own observation Haki. Soon, Monet discovered that his own observation Haki could spread out and perceive normally. However, there are Sugar, Reiju, and others around, but Monet's observation Haki just can't perceive it. It seems that everyone has no sense of existence. At this time, the location of EC in the distance. When darkness fell, a golden light flickered in EC's eyes. Swish! The golden slashes kept slashing out with EC's swing. Zhang Zhufei shot into the darkness and disappeared straight into the darkness. However, the golden slash did not dissipate by disappearing into the darkness. Instead, it flew all the way to the sea and broke into the sea. Block observation Haki. Hidden attack. Looking around, the corners of EC's mouth twitched slightly. Unexpectedly, he actually relied on a lot of Kendo insights and previous life knowledge to create his own sword moves. Although he has borrowed some things from his previous life, but in the final analysis, he has come to his own understanding. Since then, his Kendo can be regarded as truly on the right track. As you come into contact with more and more Kendo schools, you can also create countless sword moves in the future. Perhaps there are people from the continent of Arad who have come to this world by chance. After all, these four sword skills were very similar to the skills EC remembered. Speaking of which, Pirate World does clearly state that there are aliens. After all, lunar men, cosmic pirates, etc. can be used as evidence. Slightly restraining his mind, EC turned his attention back to his eyes. As for those aliens and otherworldly people, that's all for the future. The most important thing now is to perfect your swordsmanship as soon as possible. Getting on the right track does not mean that the road is perfect. Thinking of this, EC's eyes narrowed slightly. Then, the golden ripples that were originally on the same track as the invisible waves began to ripple. High in the sky, a sword was projected from the golden ripples. In the boundless darkness, at this time, golden treasures and swords floated above the sky. The golden light was slightly outlined, and the eyes that seemed to be golden gradually hung on the dark sky. Under the control of EC, all the golden eyes focused on one place. Then, streaks of golden sword energy burst out from the center of the golden eyes in an instant. Boom! Click! 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 With a loud bang, countless golden sword energy merged into one golden giant sword. The golden giant sword slashed down on the sea, making a loud noise. This time, the golden giant sword directly cut a deep pit out of the sea under his feet. At the same time, countless golden eyes began to shatter. The broken eyes seemed to shatter the space. One after another cracks appeared above the dark sky. In the end, there was another loud bang, and the entire dark world exploded. The sun appeared again, and on the dawn, everyone excitedly bathed in the sun. The sun shines on EC's body, and from a distance, it seems that EC's body is covered with a golden coat. Other moves, the experiment has been completed. Putting the tachi in his hand into the treasure of the king, EC looked at the water that was pouring down below and whispered, "As for the last style, 10,000 swords returned to the sect. We'll talk about it later. However, from now on, I can really be free from obstacles in my journey of swordsmanship." Extremely God Yujianyo. My own Kendo school. I originally thought that in 1.0, swordsmanship was only one of the tools in my hands. I didn't expect that due to various reasons, my swordsmanship would advance by leaps and bounds. In this way, swordsmanship will be my main means in the future. 5. As for the devil fruit ability, you have to eat it. After all, a lot of skills don't overwhelm you. There's a saying that is good, I cannot use it, but I can't do it without it. Watching the sea return to its original state again, EC didn't say anything more. With a slight flash of thunder, EC appeared on the deck of the Dawn. At the same time, after seeing EC coming back, Xiao once again controlled the Dawn to set sail again. Monet and the others did not ask about what EC had just practiced. After EC leaned back into the cloud chair and became a salted fish, the three daughters also started their own maid life again. It's the way to beat the legs, the way to serve the tea, and the way to fan the fan. 87 arrived at Kinson Island. Nico Robin, who was hunted down 7 days later, West Blue, Chinsun Island. At this time, the gorgeous Dawn was docked in the port of Kinson Island. EC, Monet, and Reiju are slowly walking towards the only town on Chinsun Island. As for the sugar, he is staying behind the Dawn with his own beast toy army. Coupled with the existence of Yu Xiao, EC does not need to worry about the safety of Dawn. His Royal Highness, are you here to find someone who knows the ruins of O'Hara? Following behind EC, Reiju looked left and right and found that there was no one on the way. It can be seen how remote this Kinson Island is. Hearing this, EC nodded lightly and said, "Yes, I do have this idea, although O'Hara was destroyed for several years. However, Chinsun Island is the closest island to O'Hara Island. Presumably, someone on this island should know the location of O'Hara Island. Even if O'Hara sank to the bottom of the sea, at least someone should know it." Having said this, EC paused slightly and spoke again. "It would be nice to have O'Hara's permanent pointer. Although O'Hara sank, with a permanent pointer, it is possible to find where O'Hara was before he sank. After all, the island of O'Hara just sank, not completely destroyed. So, the magnetic force of the record on the permanent pointer does not dissipate." Shaking his head, EC also knew that he was thinking too much. After all, the world government ordered the destruction of O'Hara, so the permanent pointer should not be spared. TSK, TSK, TSK. The permanent pointer should be gone. Hearing EC's words, Reiju also shook his head. On the side, Monet also agreed very much. In response, EC could only shrug, and then continued to the town of Kinson Island with the two girls. In the central town of Kinson Island, at this time, there are a large number of people dressed in black rushing through the streets and alleys. Damn, that woman is gone. Above a 3-story building, at this moment, a mafia leader was furious. Behind him, the two small mafia cadres also had ugly expressions on their faces. "Boss Sabi, what to do now? That's Nico Robin with a bounty of 79 million. 35. If she escapes like this, then the family will be blamed, and we may all be punished." Hearing this, Mafia leader Shabi trembled all over, and there was a trace of horror in her eyes. Being able to get into the position of the leader of the Mafia, he certainly knows what the Mafia's terrifying punishment looks like. Kabuto Bai immediately call for additional staff, and today we'll find Nico Robin even if the island is turned over. 5. Hearing this, Kabuto Bai, who had just spoken out, nodded immediately, turned around, and led the way. Watching Kabuto leave, Sabi still felt that it was not very safe, and said to the remaining small mafia cadre, "Daibi, take a group of people to surround the seaside of Kinson Island. No matter what kind of ship it is, it must be carefully inspected. 55. Prevent Nico Robin from leaving the island on someone else's boat. Also, if you don't find it, you don't need to come back. I've been patrolling the coast of the whole island. Don't miss a ship." Hearing the words of his own boss Shabi, Dubi quickly nodded and agreed. Afterwards, Daibai left the 3-story building and dispatched hundreds of younger brothers to go to the beach in a hurry. And whether it was Sabi, Kabuto, or Dabi who had just left, none of the three of them noticed. Just when they were just discussing in a corner of the room where they were. An ear is quietly appearing there. All the arrangements of the three were heard clearly by this ear. With the departure of Dubi and Kabuto, the ear also quietly disappeared into pieces of flowers. Not far from the 3-story building, a female figure was hidden within the trunk of a hollow tree. The slender body was tightly curled together, and the sweat from the long black hair stuck to his face because of the tension. Just now, Robin also heard the arrangement of the three of Sabi. In this regard, Robin doesn't know what to do for a while now. According to the ability of his own flowers and fruits, Robin also knew that the entire Kinsen Island is now full of mafia members. Now, if I leave this tree with a hollow trunk, I am afraid that I will soon die in the hands of the mafia. Biting his lip, Robin kept reminding himself not to pass out. Since his identity was discovered by the mafia, he has been pursuing him until now. For 5 days, Robin ran everywhere and finally hid here. As the only survivor since the destruction of O'Hara, the 79 million bounty on Robin's body makes him fall into endless pursuit wherever he goes, as long as his identity is revealed. This time, there was no exception. When offering sacrifices to the victims of O'Hara on Chinsen Island, a mafia member recognizes his identity and begins his hunt for him. As time passed, the mafia leaders also came here. As a last resort, Robin could only hide in the big tree with a hollow trunk. Until now, Robin was tired, hungry, and thirsty. However, the strong will to survive again and again from childhood to adulthood. It also made Robin continue to persevere, although I don't know how long these mafia will continue to hunt me down. 287, however, until there is no better way to escape, he can only hide here. Outside the town, EC has come here with Monet and Reiju. However, when the three of them just entered the town, they found that the atmosphere was very tense and serious. Squinting his eyes slightly, EC's eyes scanned left and right. I found that in the town street in front of me, there were members in black clothes constantly searching for something. Observation Haki spread. The top observation Haki plus the radio wave ability of the Thunder Fruit. In just a split second, EC's observation Haki completely covered the entire Chinsen Island. The mind is constantly receiving various information from observation Haki. Then, EC's eyes flashed slightly, and observation Haki noticed the body of a hollow tree. What a coincidence! It looks like we can find O'Hara. With a chuckle, Monet and Reiju were taken aback by EC's words. Your Highness, did you find something? Soon, Monet came back to his senses and asked curiously. Hearing this, EC nodded, looked at the mafia members, and said, the only survivor of O'Hara is here. 35, these mafia guys are looking for that Nico Robin. 88, the mafia delivered to the door Nico Robin. After hearing EC's words, Monet and Reiju were slightly taken aback. However, the two women reacted quickly. For Nico Robin, the two women also have a little understanding. After all, it was long after knowing that O'Hara was among EC's destinations. The two women collected some information about O'Hara from the kingdom's intelligence department. Among them, there's information about Nico Robin, the only survivor of O'Hara. At the age of 8, O'Hara was destroyed by Buster Call, and then he began to flee. Until now, according to the kingdom's intelligence, the number of times Nico Robin has been chased and killed is countless. When the killing orders were sent to the two women, they added up to a thick stack. Some information flashed in the heads of the two women. However, Monet and Reiju quickly recovered. Your Highness, you mean Nico Robin is on this island? If she's on this island, then we can indeed find O'Hara. She must have the O'Hara permanent pointer on her body. After the two women finished speaking, they looked at each other slightly and then looked at the mafia. His Royal Highness, looking at the current situation, these mafia should also be looking for Nico Robin. What should we do? Hearing this, EC smiled slightly and said, what should I do? Of course, go directly to an eye. Before he could finish speaking, EC's words were interrupted by a loud shout. Hey, I think I heard you say Nico Robin's name. Ta-ta-ta. At this moment, a mafia squad leader with more than a dozen mafia younger brothers came to the three of EC. Hey, you three, you should have said Nico Robin just now. Did you know where Nico Robin is? 39, come on, tell me everything you know. Otherwise, let you see the power of our air mafia family. Looking at the mafia who interrupted him and half surrounded him, a cold light flashed in EC's eyes. Presumptuous, to be disrespectful to His Highness. Aside, Monet's face was slightly cold after hearing this person's words. A wisp of cold air began to permeate his body. Wow, no need for EC's orders at all. Monet's right hand slammed into the mafia. Immediately, more than a dozen pure white snowflakes condensed and took shape from nothing. Without the slightest reason, The snowflakes shot through the air directly across the throats of the mafia members in front of them. Puff, 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 there was an endless stream of blood spurting, and the mafia members in front of them didn't even react. At this moment, these mafia covered their throats with horror and unwillingness. Blood came out from between his fingers, and before he could cry out for help, they all fell to the ground. Enemy attacked! A terrible scream rang out. You know, at the moment, Shinsen Island is full of mafia members, not to mention in and out of town. Therefore, when the bodies of the mafia members fell one after another in front of the three of EC, the mafia not far away noticed the situation here. As a result, the voices of shouting enemy attacks continued to sound. Soon, a large number of mafia members came in from all directions. Monet, you are responsible for killing these mafia. Seeing this scene, EC's expression did not fluctuate in the slightest. Also, just deal with the mafia in the rest of Chinsun Island as soon as you kill them. 99 observation Haki locked where Nico Robin was hiding, and EC took Reiju directly to the town center. Seeing this, Monet did not hesitate at all and turned into a snowman completely. With the breeze blowing, the snowman instantly shattered and turned into endless snowflakes scattered around. The temperature plummeted and snowflakes flew. In the blink of an eye, the entire area began to gradually turn into a snowy area. A beautiful snowflake turned into the deadliest blade in the whole snowfield. SHHH. The sound of breaking the sky continued to sound, and the snowflakes flew past, taking away the lives of the members of the mafia. As the snowy area continued to spread and spread, Monet's killing gradually became faster. On this side, EC took Reiju to the center after instructing Monet. Along the way, all the mafia members he met were easily eliminated by Reiju. In the town center, at this time, Sabi, who was located here, also heard the report of her subordinates. After knowing that someone was making trouble, Sabi couldn't care about other things. I saw that Shabi angrily rushed towards Monet's location with the mafia here. Coincidentally, EC and Reiju took a shortcut to Nico Robin's hideout in the middle of the journey. Therefore, EC and Reiju did not have a head-to-head encounter with the supporting mafia, although observation Haki felt those mafia actions. However, EC didn't take it to heart. This time, the right should be given to Monet to experience. A hollow tree. At this time, Robin, who had been hiding in it, also heard the noise outside. Due to the trunk of the tree, the sound from the outside cannot be transmitted into the tree hole. So, Robin cheered up and used his flower and fruit ability again. Soon, at this moment, a pair of eyes conveniently appeared on the big tree of the hollow giant tree. The eyes occupied the height of the tree trunk and found that the mafia around were constantly gathering and rushing in the same direction. Later, ears also appeared on the trunk. It wasn't long before Robin understood what was going on. Unexpectedly, she, who was already a little desperate, has now turned around again. After double-checking which mafia members did not notice their hiding place. On the big tree, the pair of eyes and ear instantly turned into petals and disappeared. Inside the tree hole, Robin vigorously moved his stiff body a little. Then he started to hold the tree trunk and slowly moved towards the outside of the tree hole. However, what Robin didn't know was that all her observations just now were completely exposed to EC and Reiju's eyes. Walking out of a big tree, Reiju was still curious about the pair of eyes and one ear that had just disappeared. Is that Wawagwo? It seems that the information given by the intelligence department is really good. Just, why doesn't this Hua fruit control flowers or generate flowers? Qian Zhao. Reiju, who was a little puzzled, whispered to the meaning on the side. Your Highness, do you know what's going on with this flower fruit? Hearing this, EC's mouth twitched slightly, and he said helplessly, Don't you guys, Vince Smoke, have a devil fruit illustration? Why do you still ask me? 99 Reiju shook his head and replied, That's not a complete devil fruit illustration. I haven't seen Hua fruit in that devil fruit illustration. 5 Seeing Momo, EC could only shrug and speak. To be honest, I don't know why Hua fruit does not control flowers, but can grow its own organs elsewhere. However, what Nico Robin ate was indeed called a flower fruit. After all, after those organs dissipated. There were traces of petals, didn't they? Reiju was speechless after hearing EC's words. However, devil fruits are inherently weird, and after thinking about it, Reiju can only accept EC's words. 89 permanent pointer on Nico Robin. Click inside the hollow tree. A small cracking sound continued to sound. Then, under the gaze of EC and Reiju, the trunk of the big tree in front of the two began to slowly open towards the outside. Immediately afterwards, a slender thigh slowly protruded from the tree hole. After repeated attempts, it finally landed on the ground. Subsequently, the other thigh also slowly protruded. Then the butt, the waist, the arms, the hair, and the head were fully stretched out. Wait until his body completely leaves the tree hole. Robin began to organize the tree trunk in front of him. Restore the trunk of the big tree to its original shape again. From the beginning to the end, Robin did not notice EC and Reiju behind him. And EC also watched Robin's careful movements with arms folded. When everything was back to normal, Robin turned around quickly to get out of here. However, when Robin turned around, he saw EC and Reiju in front of him. Subconsciously, Robin screamed and stepped back directly to the top of the tree. Due to the fast action, Robin's original headlights could not help shaking slightly, which looked a bit playful and cute. Who are you? After a short scream, 287, Robin immediately covered his mouth. After confirming again and again that no other Mafia members found it, Robin looked at the two people in front of him with vigilance. Hello, Nico Robin. First time meeting. My name is Helios EC. Seeing that, he calmed down in an instant and looked at Robin of the two of them with vigilance. EC also nodded secretly. After so many years of dark career, Robin has indeed grown greatly. However, the price of these growth is also extremely huge. My hometown was sunk, my relatives were killed, I was offered a reward, and I kept fleeing. Everything is the price of Robin's growth. I advise you not to have extra little tricks. I'm not looking for you to do something to you. Although it was a pity for Robin's experience, EC didn't show it too much. Pity is pitiful. In this deformed and sinful world, there are too many poor people. Therefore, EC didn't directly dig his heart out after seeing Robin. When he saw that Robin wanted to use the ability of Hua fruit, EC gently opened his mouth and warned, I have no ill will towards you. Otherwise, you would already be dead. As he spoke, EC's hand was slowly raised. Immediately afterwards, an electric arc jumped out of the palm of his hand and landed on Robin's body. The arc fell on his body, and a strong numbness spread throughout Robin's body. The small movement of secretly displaying Hua fruit was also interrupted by this wave of numbness. The power of lightning. 99 watching EC's palms arcing constantly. Robin murmured inwardly. After feeling the strength gap between the enemy and us, Robin silently put down his hands. Looking at the young EC and Reiju, Robin was silent for a while and asked, Although I don't know if you have any ill will towards me, but you should ask me to help you with something. You should also know my strength, and there is no powerful force behind me. So, for you, the most important thing for me is my knowledge. 55 having said this, Robin paused slightly before continuing to speak. You guys, do you want me to help you translate something? Is historical text. Hearing this, EC shook his head under Robin's surprised eyes. EC ignored Robin's surprised look and said calmly, I'm not interested in the historical text. However, I am very interested in the historical text steel. After all, that kind of indestructible material is worth studying. 35. Although I know you won't believe it, I'm really only interested in the historical text stone tablet itself. So, finding you this time has two purposes. First, I hope you can take me to the original place of the island of O'Hara. Kba, I want to know that when the Tree of Omniscient was destroyed and O'Hara sank, the steel of historical text hidden in the basement of the Tree of Omniscient was still there. Second, you are the historian of O'Hara. 35. Although you have been on the run all these years, I believe you must have gone to the historical text. So, you must know the whereabouts of some historical text stone tablets. So, how about making a deal? I'll take you out of Chinsun Island and wipe out those mafia. And you're taking me to the O'Hara site, and you're giving me a historical text stone tablet. What do you think? After listening to EC's words and the information about the last transaction, Robin was lost in thought. Unexpectedly, the person in front of him is also interested in the historical text. Oh no, it should be said that he is only interested in the historical text stone tablet itself. Although I don't know if this is his truth. However, it does require a little external force to leave now. And the power shown by EC just now surprised Robin. Most importantly, of course, Robin heard that EC wanted to find a historical text still buried in the sea with the Tree of Omniscience. In this regard, Robin was very excited. Although I want to see those historical text stone tablets when I was a child. But after so many years, those original memories have long been blurred. If there's an opportunity to translate those historical texts again, I believe that those scholars in O'Hara will feel extremely gratified. After pondering for a while, Robin spoke. I can take you to the O'Hara sinking waters, but how can you find the wreckage of O'Hara from the deep sea? Hearing this, EC smiled lightly and replied in a very calm tone. That you will know in time. 35, so are you sure you can find where O'Hara sank? He frowned slightly, although he was a little unhappy that EC didn't say how. However, Robin also knows that his strength is so weak, and he has not much right to speak. So, after hearing EC's words, Robin stretched out his hand and took out a permanent pointer from his twin-peaked different dimension. This is a permanent pointer to the island of O'Hara. Although the island has sunk, this permanent pointer is still useful. At the very least, one can definitely reach the waters where the islands before O'Hara sank. Point 39, taking the permanent pointer with a strange fragrance in Robin's hand. EC could sense the residual heat on the pointer. Putting it in his pocket, EC turned around and walked out of town. If that's the case, then you should follow us first. 99 now, leave Chinsun Island first. 5 after all. I can't wait to find the O'Hara ruins too. Seeing EC's disappearing figure, Reiju followed without hesitation. In response, Robin bit his lower lip and pondered for a while, then quickly followed behind EC. 90 towards the sunken place of O'Hara, walking on the town. The three of EC soon encountered Monet, who was slaughtering the Mafia. After looking at the broken Mafia, EC took Reiju and Robin directly back to Dawn. Along the way, the beast toys that can be seen everywhere are constantly chasing and killing the members of the Mafia. Seeing this, EC knew that Monet must have contacted Xia Tang. After all, EC also said before to let Monet come out and drop the entire Chinsun Island Mafia. In this regard, Monet must have contacted Sugar in the middle, and that's why the scene in front of him came about. But EC doesn't care about it, no matter what method he uses, as long as he can complete the task he assigned. The coast, when EC arrives at the port with Robin. Robin was shocked by the huge and gorgeous dawn. In particular, whether the white clouds emerging under the dawn made Robin's heart even more curious. However, Robin also knows that it is not advisable to inquire about things without familiarity. Therefore, Robin could only suppress the curiosity in his heart, and was brought to the restroom by Lena under the arrangement of EC. In the room, Robin was a little stunned when he saw the ready-made change of clothes and the hot food on the table. It didn't take long for Robin, who had adjusted his mentality, to have a full meal, then picked up a wide bath towel and walked to the bathroom. On the other hand, EC handed the O'Hara permanent pointer to Akatsuki after Lena took Robin. Afterwards, EC found that he had nothing to do but found a reclining chair to lie down and rest, waiting for Monet and Sugar to clear the Mafia on Chinsun Island. The things that have been promised to others still have to be completed. After all, reputation is very important when you are away from home. Whether it is a small matter or a major matter, whether it is a private or state affair. EC attaches great importance to credibility. When Robin appeared on the deck again, the whole person seemed more hydrated. Opening his eyes slightly, EC smiled lightly as he looked at Robin sitting on the chair next to him. Your adaptability is still very good. Smelling the fragrance from Robin's body, EC also found that Robin is far less mature than the original. But this is also normal. Counting the time, Robin at this time is only 20 years old. It can be said that he has just become an adult. He has just lost his youthful air, and he is only 2 or 3 years older than Monet. It's a pity that his body hasn't fully grown yet. Otherwise, he can pluck Monet's flower first. Having been in this world for so long, EC has never really tried meat flavors until now. Now, more and more beautiful women have begun to gather around him. It is really uncomfortable to just watch and not eat, but EC has no choice but to wait until he grows up. It seems that people will also be sent to find the giant lantern fish as soon as possible. After all, only with pure gold can he realize his infinite immortality surgery on the operating table in his guess. After all, it has been ups and downs for so long, and there is still some adaptability. Just as EC was thinking, Robin's voice slowly rang out, pulling EC back to reality. It's just that what I didn't expect was that you turn out to be a prince. Touching his long hair, Robin was indeed a little surprised by EC's identity. Because of the character he had forged from his escape all these years, Robin quietly inquired after the bath. And this also allowed Robin to know EC's identity and some information about the Dawn from the mouths of the maids. EC knew about this, after all. Dawn had a ship spirit. Almost every move on the ship could not escape Akatsuki's call. Therefore, when Robin used the ability of Hua Hua fruit, Akatsuki informed EC and others. It's just that EC didn't stop it. Still have a lot of ideas for Robin EC. I want to build a big crystal palace. How can there be no Robin, whether you're interested in Robin or simply want to satisfy your own collection addiction? EC made up his mind to keep Robin on the boat after she got on the boat. It's still small now and can only be seen and can't be eaten, but it can be collected first. When you grow up, you can eat whatever you want. P.S. So, this is not a monk essay. The key is that the protagonist is too young, even if it is really possible to achieve infinite immortality surgery. At that time, it will be able to eat forever. Shaking his head, EC regained his senses and stopped thinking. He glanced at Robin, who had his legs raised, revealing a lot of fair skin. See, osma identitai. Do you have any ideas? Hearing this, Robin smiled lightly and took a sip of the juice prepared by the maid next to him. So, what does His Royal Highness want me to think? EC touched his chin and said very bluntly, Then, do you want to join my command? Seeing that Robin was about to speak, EC waved his hand to let himself finish first, although it was indeed a deal with you at first. 35. However, the development of things is not eternal. 99. I am very interested in you, so now I want to accept you again. This has nothing to do with my previous deal with you. 35. After speaking, EC ate the grapes that Reiju had gathered around in one bite and waited for Robin's answer. In this regard, Robin said with a smile, His Royal Highness is still very reasonable. The development of things is indeed not eternal. However, I just don't know whether His Royal Highness is interested in me or in other places. 5 for Flower Zero. Also, His Royal Highness should know I have a bounty on me, plus my status as a historian. Although the world government has not sent anyone to deal with me, is His Royal Highness not afraid that the world government will use me as an excuse to deal with your country? 99. When EC heard the words, he gently shook his index finger. First, to answer your first question. Exactly. I'm very interested in you as a whole. Secondly, to answer your second question. If it was before, I would still be worried that the world government would deal with my country. However, now my country is developing rapidly, and the strength of the kingdom is constantly getting stronger. In addition, I have already prepared a backup. As long as the time is right, even if it is hard to fight against the world government, it will not be a problem. Also, it doesn't take long. Finally, your life in these years must have been not very good. 5. Then, why don't you try to join me? Maybe my kingdom and I can give you a sense of security that you never had. Hearing EC's words, Robin drank the juice in his hand. I didn't expect that His Royal Highness would be interested in me. It seems that I still have some charm. However, please give me some time to think about other things. With such a hasty promise, I believe that His Royal Highness will not be relieved, right? After speaking, Robin slowly put down his folded legs. Then he stood up and smiled and turned away from the foredeck. Watching Robin leave, EC couldn't help but whisper in his heart, with the existence of noble phantasm, how can you be worried? However, although the twisted melon quenches my thirst, I still prefer to go with the flow. 5. As long as you stay a little longer, I'm sure you'll be willing to agree. After half a day has passed, in Chinsen Island, Monet and Sugar also return to the Dawn hand in hand. Your Highness, the mafia members on the island have been cleaned up. Hearing this, EC smiled lightly and pinched Sugar's little cheek. Just clean it up, go wash up, and wash off the bloody smell. Monet and Sugar nodded and turned to leave. Wait until the Beast Toy army behind Sugar has all returned to Dawn. Under the orders of EC, Xiao controlled the Dawn and started to leave the port of Kinsen Island. With O'Hara permanent pointers, there is no need to look for guides anymore. According to the direction of the permanent needle, Dawn began to sail towards the sunken place of O'Hara 10. 91 arrived at the O'Hara ruins, the remains of the Tree of Omniscience. 3 days later, the Dawn stayed in an uninhabited sea. At this time, EC, Monet, Shadang, Reiju, and Robin were all standing on the bow on the deck. On the side, Xiao looked down at the permanent pointer in his hand and kept looking at the surrounding sea area from left to right. In the end, he still looked at the permanent pointer in his hand that was always pointing downward and said softly, "Brother, this permanent pointer is no longer pointing in other directions here. According to the meaning of pointing downward, O'Hara Island should be near here." Hearing this, EC did not speak, but turned to look at Robin beside him. Seeing this, Robin's face was very calm. He looked around carefully, and finally Robin nodded his head lightly. "Here, indeed, is where O'Hara sank. 99, it's just that I don't know where O'Hara is exactly. After all, after there's no reference, the only thing that can be relied on is the permanent pointer. However, what I can guarantee is that O'Hara is around here." EC touched his chin and thought for a moment while looking at the endless sea. In the end, EC still pulled out the sea burial knife from the golden ripples in the air. "TSK, I can't think of anything other than splitting the sea." 99, while speaking, EC turned to look at Xiao. "First, suspend the Dawn in midair. The police were accidentally injured. In addition, the movement will definitely be big when you wait, and remember to avoid dangerous waves at any time." Xiao Wenyin lightly nodded his little head. Don't worry, the nest is boring. Dawn, take off," while a large number of clouds formed along the bottom of the Dawn. Then, the whole ship began to fly high into the sky under the support of the clouds. The sea water made waves of tiny waves because of the departure of the Dawn, making a clattering sound. Holding the railing on the side, Robin was slightly taken aback when he saw the Dawn flying up from the sky, especially looking at the clouds that float below and around Dawn. Robin looked at Akatsuki in surprise and said, "This is Yin fruit?" Hearing this, Xiao proudly raised her little head. Looking at Zhao's appearance, Monet, who was beside him, could not help but reach out and gently touched her little head. As for EC, he ignored these things. An electric arc flashed across his body, and EC instantly disappeared on the deck. When he reappeared, he was already standing on the sea. Holding the sea burial knife in his hand, EC looked around the sea. In the end, he slowly raised his sea burial knife. The dark-armed color Haki began to spread from the body, and finally completely wrapped around the sea burial knife. Now, because of the substantial improvement of his body, EC's armed color Haki has also gone a step further. It can be said that he is on the verge of breaking through the top-armed color Haki. If you can successfully obtain the historical text stone tablet this time, wait until after the physical evolution. Armed colored Haki breaks through the top stage with ease. And armed color Haki's advanced use skills are internally destroyed, and there is enough Haki to try master. A gleam of light flashed through his eyes, and the sea burial knife in his hand instantly slashed down at the sea. In an instant, a kilometer-long golden slash crashed down. The tyrannical slash split the sea in two in an instant. Endless sea water surging frantically toward both sides. The sea water that didn't have time to turn over was chopped into nothingness by the golden slash. A water-blue mist slowly rose from the center of the seawater that was divided into two. Observation Haki swept away. The 1,000-meter-high waves are like a waterfall that covers the sky, and the seabed that has been cut out of the ravines under the thousands of meters of deep sea. Everything is hidden under EC's observation Haki. SHHH. After discovering that this slash did not find the sunken island of O'Hara, EC didn't hesitate. The sea burial knife in his hand kept cutting out. Immediately, near the entire sea area, a large number of golden slashes shot out, constantly ravaging the sea. Boom, boom, boom. One after another, huge slash exploded on the sea. Endless waves are surging wildly in this sea area, as if it was a small tsunami. The waves of 1,000 meters high and the waves of 100 meters high were constantly intertwined. Above the sky, Robin on the deck of the Dawn couldn't help reaching out to cover his mouth when he saw this scene. Robin knows that EC's strength is very strong. After all, EC has shown his thunder power before. However, Robin really didn't know that EC's swordsmanship was so powerful. The golden slashes that flew out one after another made Robin's hair stand up. Such a powerful strength. The shock inside made Robin subconsciously mutter to himself. Aside, Sugar wrinkled her nose after hearing Robin's words. His Highness's strength is more than that. Hearing this, Robin's face Jinin couldn't help showing shock. This isn't even EC's full strength. Extremely God Yu Jianliu breaking the air and pulling the sword. Clang! I feel that the golden slashes are extremely troublesome. After EC cut out the last golden slash, the sea burial knife shook violently. The void seems to have become the scabbard of the sea burial knife. EC grabbed the handle of the sea burial knife and pulled it sharply. Immediately, the sound of a sword unsheathed suddenly sounded. Under the swing of EC, the sea burial knife slashed a semicircular golden slash toward the sea. The slashing slash that slanted down crashed into the sea. In an instant, the entire sea seemed to be soaring. From EC's point of view, the endless waters seemed to have broken away from the seabed. In the middle of the sea and the seabed, a vacuum is quietly formed. At this time, EC's eyes narrowed slightly. His own observation Haki sensed the remains of a huge tree in an instant. The tree of omniscience. Look in the direction observation Haki perceives. EC saw the remains of a super huge tree. Zizizi without the slightest hesitation, when he saw the wreckage of the tree of omniscience buried deep in the sea. An electric light suddenly appeared on EC's body, and his whole body turned into a thunderbolt and disappeared 1.0. Standing on the seabed, there is not a single drop of seawater around, because all the seawater is isolated above by a vacuum. With a wave of his hand, golden ripples began to appear. Countless wrecks of the tree of omniscience were wrapped in golden ripples and disappeared on the seabed. Not long after, when the vacuum created by the slashing began to collapse, EC has also collected all the remains of the tree of omniscience into the king's treasure. Zizizi thunder reappears, the moment when EC's figure disappears. Wow la la la, the endless sea water suddenly fell from the sky into the sea. Above the sky, a figure quickly appeared on the bow. Your Highness, seeing EC's figure, Monet and the other's eyes lit up immediately. On the side, Robin also looked at EC curiously, wanting to know the final result. 92. Huge harvest. 15. Historical text steals boom. Wow la 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 below the dawn, with the endless seawater falling on the seabed again. Suddenly, a thunderous sound resounded throughout the sea and the sky. The seawater continued to squeeze, and a tsunami erupted right under the eyes of everyone. One after another, the waves of the kilometer high continued to roll away in all directions. Fortunately, there are no islands nearby. Even the nearest island of Chinsun takes 3 days to reach. Therefore, the impact of the tsunami was instantly reduced countless times. On the dawn, EC stood on the deck and thought, and he entered the treasure of the king. Outside, Robin was slightly taken aback when he saw EC disappearing. This is disappeared? He looked left and right, and even leaned on the railing and looked towards the sea. No matter where he was, Robin didn't find EC. Monet looked at Robin and said with a slight smile, "This is His Highness's ability, and you will know it after you join. Don't worry, Your Highness will definitely gain something." Hearing this, Robin nodded thoughtfully. It seems that the secrets of EC are really not less. King's Treasure Small World. At this moment, EC stood here looking at the wreckage of the Tree of Omniscience. Although it has sunk to the bottom of the sea for many years, the wreckage of the Tree of Omniscience still looks extremely lush. That is to say, even if it is destroyed, there is still a lot of life left in that piece of wreckage. Should I say something? It really deserves to be one of the strange trees in the pirate world. Even after being destroyed for so many years, it can keep its own wreckage alive. Looking at the continent of clouds and the small world, EC drew out a central island by his own will. Afterwards, the wreckage of the Tree of Omniscience was transferred to the central island by EC. All the vital remains were replanted on the central island by EC. The Tree of Omniscience with such vitality, EC also wanted to try planting it. After all, it's a pity to let it disappear like this. Also, because it is a wreck, it cannot be turned into a noble phantasm for the time being. Only after the Tree of Omniscience rejuvenates and grows again can EC be able to transform it into a noble phantasm. After planting all the remains of the Tree of Omniscience that still have the power of life, EC turned his gaze to the wreckage of the Tree of Omniscience that had lost its vitality. Observation Haki glanced slightly, and then EC's eyes were placed on a huge tree trunk. This is a round tree trunk, which looks like a flat circle as a whole. In a flash, EC appeared in front of the tree trunk in an inconspicuous place. Reach out and push hard inside. What EC didn't expect was that he couldn't push back with his current strength. It seems that there's a reason why this is well preserved. 55. Those historians may not be as brainless as the original works. 35. Squinting his eyes slightly, EC couldn't help but take a few steps back, looking at the tree trunk in front of him seriously. Observation Haki kept scanning. EC kept searching for the mechanism of this door. Speaking of which, if only I had Charlotte Lean's see-through observation Haki. These so-called organs will definitely be invisible under the perspective. After a long time, EC still couldn't find the door switch. In desperation, there was a condensed lightning bolt in his hand. Lightning turned into an electric drill and began to turn frantically, and the drilling electric drill slammed into the door. Zizizi. The harsh electric beep kept ringing. One after another arc, Zizizi kept beating. It wasn't that EC didn't want to directly use the powerful slash and thunder to destroy the gate. Instead, EC was worried that it would be bad if he accidentally broke the things behind the door after he destroyed the door. After all, in such a strict place, in addition to the historical text stone tablet, there must be other things. Zzzzzzzzz. The electric drill moves. The harsh sound keeps ringing. After spending a full hour, finally, there were drilled holes that were penetrated at the cracks of the entire gate. Bang, kick out. With a loud bang, the door was kicked open by EC. Until now, the gate has been kicked open, and it is still firmly connected to the tree trunk in some places. Ignoring the door, the moment the door was kicked open, EC's observation Haki shot towards it. Finding that there was no danger, EC walked slowly into the oblate tree trunk room. With a thought, a golden light in the shape of a lantern descended from the sky and entered the trunk room. Cautious starting with the lantern, it instantly burst into incomparable light. The light centered on the lantern illuminated the entire trunk room. Fortunately, I didn't choose to destroy the entry directly. Turning his head to take a look, EC soon discovered that in this huge trunk room, apart from the 15 historical textiles that were placed in the very center and fixed, there are also a large number of bookshelves around the walls of the entire trunk room, and the bookshelves are filled with dense books. Moreover, in this trunk room, there is not the slightest trace of seawater. It seems that this should be the last basement of the original O'Hara Tree of Omniscience. I casually looked at the densely packed books on the shelf and found that most of them were historical books. In addition to the history of the world, There's actually the history of other countries and the history of some unique places. Shaking his head, EC took a casual look and lost the slightest interest. To be honest, EC is really not interested in the history of this world. Moreover, even if it is to interpret 100 years of blank history, what can it do? World government has ruled the sea for 800 years. Can its strength and background be enough to overthrow 287 in a single piece of history? Is it possible that a piece of historical text can split the world government or disintegrate itself? Therefore, EC quickly focused his attention on the 15 historical textiles. Unexpectedly, the scholars of O'Hara were able to collect so many historical textiles. It seems that the world government has really not collected historical text stone tablets in the past 800 years. Otherwise, the scholars of O'Hara would not have collected so much. Touching his chin, EC was very familiar with the ancient characters on the historical text stone tablet. However, EC obviously didn't understand. But EC didn't care about those contents and waved his hand gently. 15 stone tablets of historical text that were fixed instantly broke free from the shackles and floated in the air. Under the control of EC, all the historical textiles flew out of the trunk room, one after another. After EC also left the trunk room, EC looked at the trunk room. In the end, EC built a floating island on top of the white sea of clouds. The trunk room has also been transferred to the floating island. Although EC is not interested in these materials, EC believes that Robin will be very interested. Moreover, these things can also be used as a bargaining chip. A chip for Robin to take refuge in. Not only that, in addition to these historical sources, the 15 historical textiles plus the one he took from Sky Island believe that the temptation for Robin is unparalleled. 93. Reinforced iron bone. Top-armed color Haki after setting up the trunk room. EC turned all the historical textiles he had recently acquired into noble phantasms. With the continuous emergence of golden lights, 15 brand-new historical text stone tablets were released one after another. At the same time, the historical text stone tablet noble phantasm that was originally taken from Sky Island also landed in front of EC from the sky. A fiery color flashed in his eyes. EC manipulated 16 historical text stone tablets and began to merge with each other. With the historical text stone tablet noble phantasm began to merge. A humming sound rang out, and all the historical text stone tablet noble phantasms turned into fluid-like substances at this moment. Gradually, all the fluid matter began to fuse together. Under the control of EC, a huge pagoda-shaped steel began to form. The moment the pagoda-shaped steel was formed, in an instant, all the fluids turned into solids. Immediately afterwards, a golden pagoda stone tablet was located in the corner of the cloud continent. In all directions of the pagoda stone tablet, pieces of historical text also appeared in various positions. At the same time, the moment when the pagoda steel is fully formed. In an instant, EC's body burst into a rich golden light. At this moment, EC could clearly feel the heat in his body. The blood is constantly tempering and the body is constantly shaking. The bones and meridians of the whole body are constantly broken and reorganized. A painful murmur came out of EC's mouth intermittently. The excruciating pain caused EC to curl up on the ground. This is a way of fundamentally changing one's own physique. If it is not for the existence of the protective characteristics of the treasure of the king. Otherwise, EC would not be able to resist no matter how strong his willpower is. After a long time, when everything in the body returned to calm again. At this moment, the place where EC was located seemed to have turned into a puddle. A puddle of sweat condensed on the ground. Cough, cough. After coughing twice, EC slowly stood up tremblingly. I didn't expect it to be so painful this time. After whispering, EC took another breath of cold air due to too much force when he got up. He let out a deep breath. EC stood there and quietly felt the changes in his body. At this moment, when the heat and pain dissipate, a cool feeling spread all over EC's body. EC could feel the cool air flowing in his body. Everywhere you go, all the negative states of your body keep getting better. Soon, in just a few minutes, EC found that he had no discomfort at all. He lowered his head, stretched out his hand, and held it tightly. And in an instant, it seemed as if an explosive force was about to spew out of his body. His fingers flicked his skin hard, and then there was a tinkling sound. This is the body's natural response. When your body feels danger, you don't need EC's special control. The body, which has now been transformed into a reinforced iron bone, will automatically defend itself. Therefore, when EC stretched his skin, he made a clanging sound. Now my body defense is not inferior to Charlotte Lean-Lean's steel balloon. The steel balloon is the name of Charlotte Lean-Lean's own special constitution. Charlotte Lean-Lean was born with tremendous strength, killing a bear with one punch when she was 5 years old. He wanted to help the giants get rid of the mosquitoes, but he slapped the giant soldier's ribs with a slap. Not only that, Charlotte Lean-Lean has a very strong body and a very strong defense. The giant's blade was cut off by Charlotte Lean-Lean, who was only 5 years old. Not even a hail of bullets could add a single scar to her. And this is the special physique that Charlotte Lean-Lean was born with. Now, his physique has also evolved into a reinforced iron bone. It shouldn't be too bad compared to Charlotte Lean-Lean's steel balloons. However, nothing has been compared and tested, so EC can only guess. After simply experimenting with your new body. Immediately afterwards, EC stretched out his hand and clenched his fist. Immediately, the tyrannical armed Haki wrapped around EC's hand. Armed Haki, advanced. Is it because my physique has improved? Looking at Haki, who has entered the top level of armed color, EC's face suddenly showed joy. The next step is to continuously expand your Haki amount, temper your Haki strength, and learn the skills of internal destruction as soon as possible. The skill of internal destruction, Armed Color Haki Training Manual Noble Phantasm, should be mastered soon. 99 now, my strength has climbed to the ceiling of this world. If you want to make a breakthrough next, it is extremely difficult. 99, a light curtain flashed in front of him, and then EC's new information was displayed on the light curtain. The King's Treasure Personal Information King. Helios EC, Combat Strength. SSS, Physical Fitness. SSS, Reinforced Iron Bones. High-Speed Self-Healing. Abilities. Extreme God Yujin Lu. Intermediate Conqueror's Haki. Top 2 Color Haki. Vampire Fruit. Thunder Fruit. Looking at his extremely simplified attribute panel, EC's eyes flashed with light. Sure enough, his guess was not wrong. The current self is indeed the ceiling combat power that has entered the world of pirates. Next, if you want to improve your strength again, it may take a long time. As for wanting to have an exceptional level of combat power, it is even more necessary to explore. Now, one of the goals in the Kingdom Plan has been achieved. Kingdom Planning Goals. 1. Personal strength reaches the world ceiling level. Completed. 2. The subordinates need to have multiple admiral levels of combat power, not a single one. 3. Continue to replenish the middle and high-level combat power of the kingdom. Currently, there are not many, for within the kingdom, all the people are soldiers, and everyone over the age of 10 needs to have a non-commissioned officer-level combat power. The development time is not enough. It has not yet reached the standard, and it is expected to be completed before the succession to the throne. 5. Vigorously develop black technology, high technology, and technological weapons. Currently in the stage of collecting scientists, the above 5 are the targets of force deterrence planned by EC himself. As for other living and trade goals, people's population goals, education goals for the whole people, with money and Zhao, and medical security goals, the rest of the goals are now slowly being built under the governance of King Illo. When EC takes the throne, a mighty kingdom of Helios will shock the whole sea. The achievement of goals is not achieved overnight, and every goal takes time to achieve step by step. Therefore, from the moment EC chose to go to sea, EC divided his kingdom plan into 2. EC himself went out to sea to seek the goal of strengthening the kingdom's force, while King Ilo built it internally. From beginning to end, EC and King Ilo have a clear division of labor and a two-pronged approach. After getting acquainted with his own strength in the small world of Wang Jibao, EC returned to the deck of the Dawn again. At this time, on the deck, Monet, Robin, and others were still waiting here, although it took a long time to wait. However, when EC appeared again, Robin stood up a little excited. 94 Robin, who can't stand the temptation, His Royal Highness Prince. Seeing EC's figure, Robin stood up excitedly. Your Highness, Monet and the others also stood up and bowed to EC. Hearing this, EC first nodded to Monet and others. Then he turned to look at Robin and said, "Looking at your expression, I believe you have already guessed it." Saying that, EC smiled lightly. The wreckage of the Tree of Omniscience was indeed found by me. Also, all the 15 historical text stone tablets hidden in the Tree of Omniscience have been found. 39. Hearing EC's words, Robin's face couldn't help but be overjoyed. Just as he was about to speak, he found that EC had other discoveries. Besides, on the other hand, EC, seeing Robin's happy expression, spoke again with a change of voice. I also found a ton of history books that O'Hara had hidden away. Although I'm not very interested in history books, I'm sure you should be, Robin. Hearing this, Robin's face suddenly froze. O'Hara's hidden history books. Also, I found some remains of the Tree of Omniscience that still have the 287 force of vitality. Therefore, we are developing a branch of the Tree of Omniscience to see if we can reproduce the Tree of Omniscience again. 5. After speaking, EC did not speak, but quietly looked at Robin, whose expression was changing. That's right, the expression on Robin's face kept changing at this time. Generally speaking, after years of escaping and hiding, Robin still controls his emotions and expressions very well. However, now EC keeps throwing out things that make Robin's heart move again and again. At this point, Robin didn't know what EC planned. After these hours of understanding, Robin can also be sure that EC will definitely live up to his promise. As long as he wants to see the historical text stone tablet, EC will never disagree. However, there was no such thing as those history books in the previous transactions. Not to mention, in addition to those history books, there is the Tree of Omniscience that can be reborn. The Tree of Omniscience is not just a memory for Robin. As a child, Robin's life was not good. His father died early, so he has no impression of him, and his mother is a wanted criminal pursued by the world government. Robin's childhood was very lonely. When she was 2 years old, her mother asked for history for Kpa, leaving her alone in her hometown to be raised by her younger brother's family. Robin is not only despised by relatives and neighbors, but also because of her devil fruit ability, which makes her be regarded as a monster by the children nearby. She later studied archaeology with Dr. Klopa and O'Hara scholars who were willing to accept her. Robin took the doctoral exam at the age of 8 and became an archaeologist with perfect grades. During this study period, the Tree of Omniscience became Robin's narrator. Life is not good, study is not smooth, anxiety without friends, all kinds of unfortunate things. Robin will quietly tell the Tree of Omniscience in a corner of the Tree of Omniscience. In the O'Hara incident, the destruction of the Tree of Omniscience also made Robin feel extremely sad about it. The Tree of Omniscience is more like a home to Robin, so now after hearing that the Tree of Omniscience might be reborn, Robin even forgot the historical text deal he had been pursuing. On the bow deck. At this time, neither EC nor Monet said a word. Everyone looked at Robin silently, and no one disturbed her at this time. At this time, Robin also regained his previous calm after thinking for a long time. Looking at EC and others, they just looked at themselves quietly and did not disturb or guide themselves. Robin's heart was also slightly moved. Actually, if EC just said something to let Robin stay. Robin also knew very well that he would definitely choose to agree. And now, EC and others can be said to have given themselves enough respect. As for Robin's thoughts, after thinking about it, Robin determined his choice. Looking at EC, Robin slowly stepped forward and bowed to EC. Your Highness, if your Highness does not abandon it, please take in me as a homeless person. For his choice, Robin has no regrets. After fleeing for so many years, both body and mind are extremely tired. However, she, who inherited the will of many historians of O'Hara to live, has been constantly working hard to live. Now, EC has given herself shelter. That powerful strength can cut off the power of the sea. This amazing ship can use the abilities of the ship, and that after understanding the prosperous and powerful kingdom. Historical text steals, historical books, and the tree of omniscience that can be reborn. All kinds of temptations are irresistible to Robin. So, in the end, Robin chose to go under EC. Hearing Robin's words, EC's face couldn't help showing a smile. Reaching out his hand, he lifted up Robin, who bowed and saluted. I believe you will not regret your choice. I believe it too. Hearing this, Robin also looked at EC and smiled. Come on, follow me into the small world of King's treasure. EC took Robin's hand, then turned to Monet and the others and said, I'll take Robin to the King's treasure first, and then you can take care of the things on the ship yourself. Hearing this, Monet and the others quickly responded, Yes, Your Highness. Golden ripples appeared, and EC walked into it slowly with a curious Robin on his face. When Robin really entered the small world of King's treasure and saw the golden ocean, the white continent, and the sea of clouds in the sky, the whole person seemed extremely shocked at this moment. This is a world? Unbelievable. She couldn't help but turned her head and asked EC in a low voice. EC nodded slightly. These things, you go to Monet later, she will introduce you. And after that, you will also be trained by Lina and learn about the kingdom's affairs. 35. So if you have any questions, just ask them both directly. Now, let me take you to see the things you care about first. Hearing this, Robin also came back to his senses and couldn't wait to follow behind EC. Next, EC took Robin to the place where the branches of the tree of omniscience were planted. Then I took Robin to the tree trunk room and saw the history books on the shelves. Finally, EC took Robin to the place where the pagoda stone was. At this moment, Robin was a little stunned when he looked at the towering pagoda and stone tablet. Doesn't it mean that the historical text steals are indestructible? Why did those historical text steals merge into a pagoda stele? Although he was shocked inside, Robin didn't ask EC more. Compared with the changes in the historical text stele, Robin was more interested in the ancient texts inscribed on the pagoda stele. 95. The demon fruit cursed black air mass, seeing Robin eagerly looking at the historical text on the pagoda stone tablet. EC couldn't help but smiled and said, I want to see that there will be time in the future, and there are also a lot of historical books in the small world. Presumably you wouldn't let go of those books, would you? 35. Listening to EC's words, Robin also responded lightly, Yeah. 5. These things you have time to study later. Also, you probably haven't noticed it yet, there are more than 15 ancient texts on this pagoda stone tablet. Hearing this, Robin's eyes changed slightly, and he couldn't help but stretch out his hand to count the ancient characters on the pagoda stone tablet. 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 13, 15, 16. His face condensed slightly, and Robin realized that there were more in ancient text. Looks like you found. Aside, EC said with a smile. Yes, I have obtained a historical text stone tablet before this. 35. This is also a surprise gift after you join. Hearing this, a warm current flowed slightly in Robin's heart. Turning to look at EC, Robin's face showed a touching smile. Your Highness, I like this surprise gift very much. Thank you very much. A touch of emotion appeared in his eyes. Robin really felt EC's sincerity towards her. At this moment, the last trace of vigilance in Robin's heart disappeared. EC smiled lightly and made a light gesture. Immediately, 2 golden rays of light broke through the golden ocean and came to the 2 of them in the blink of an eye. This is the noble phantasm embryo. You can ask Monet and the others about the specifics of the king's treasure. 99. And now let me tell you about the noble phantasm embryo. Noble phantasm embryos can fuse various items in life and can be transformed into magical noble phantasms and life noble phantasms. While explaining to Robin what a noble phantasm embryo is, EC pointed to the noble phantasm embryo floating in front of the 2 of them. When you become a noble phantasm of life, you will be able to have the various benefits I just mentioned. How? I believe you don't want to be subject to seawater and sea stone all the time. Robin listened carefully to EC's words and was heartbroken when he heard that the side effects of devil fruit could be removed. Not to mention that after becoming a noble phantasm of life, you can have one more life. So the moment EC finished speaking, Robin nodded without hesitation and said, "I will." 39 in response, EC nodded gratified. Then it started. Swoosh, the two noble phantasm embryos instantly merged into Robin's body. Soon, Robin's body was full of golden light, and Robin also slowly fell into a deep sleep. At the same time, EC could also feel a black aura coming out of Robin's body. Under the endless golden light, the black aura in Robin's body came out crazily, as if escaping from the pursuit of natural enemies. Finally, under EC's gaze, a large amount of black breath formed a spherical gaseous shape. Is this the curse of the devil fruit? EC was also a little surprised when he saw the black round gas in front of Robin. Unexpectedly, there are unexpected gains. In other words, after the fusion of the noble phantasm embryo, the side effects of the devil fruit are purified. Is it because it directly expelled the curse in the devil fruit? Why didn't this black aura come out when purifying the devil fruit before? Frowning and thinking for a while, EC's eyes were fixed on Robin. Suddenly, a light flashed in my mind. Vector, it's because there is no carrier, so it will disappear directly. Not good. Thinking of this, EC turned his head to look at the black cloud of devil fruit curse. In an instant, EC found that the curse of the devil fruit was slowly dissipating. Seeing this, EC couldn't care less, and directly waved again to summon a noble phantasm embryo to fuse with the devil fruit cursed black air mass. EC is still very interested in this kind of novelty. Anyway, there are too many noble phantasm embryos to be used up, so why don't you first try to turn this devil fruit cursed black air mass into noble phantasm? Soon, the devil fruit curse was completely fused with a noble phantasm embryo. Its fusion speed is unimaginably fast, and the fast EC is somewhat unexpected. It seems that this is because it has to dissipate on its own, so it will merge quickly. Soon, a light curtain appeared in front of EC's eyes. Within the light curtain, relevant information was also printed into EC's eyes. Noble phantasm, devil fruit curse, type. Active noble phantasm, type. Consuming noble phantasm, liberation. After using it, designate a certain life form to obtain the curse of devil fruit. 1. It can make the cursed person fear sea water and sea stone. 2. It can prevent the cursed from eating the new devil fruit. Otherwise, they will explode and die. 3. If the cursed person is already a devil fruit person, the curse effect of the cursed person will be doubled. 4. If the cursed person dies, the devil fruit curse will be recovered by itself. 4 flowers are note that if the cursed person has the ability to resist the curse, the devil fruit curse will not work. Looking at the information within the light curtain, EC's eyes suddenly lit up. Ah, that's powerful, wow. Although there are some limitations, this devil fruit curse is still very powerful. Imagine unknowingly using devil fruit curses on your enemies while fighting the strong. In this case, even a strong person can't react instantly. And in the battle of the strong, just a single flaw is fatal. Of course, this does not mean that the devil fruit curse is invincible. It has also been stated on the light curtain that it is difficult for people with the ability to resist the curse to take effect. Although there are very few people in this world who have the ability to fight against the curse. In addition, there is a strong observation Haki who can see the future. Although it is impossible to avoid the curse of devil fruit, at least this type of powerhouse can know in advance and take precautions. However, even so, the devil fruit curse is still strong. Touching his chin, EC began to think about what to do next. Since the devil fruit curse has such a miraculous effect, the devil fruit obtained in the future cannot be transformed into a noble phantasm before eating it. If you want more devil fruits to curse the black air mass, you need to eat them first before carrying out noble phantasm. In this way, you will be able to harvest more devil fruits to curse the black air mass. Moreover, devil fruit curse black air is not the only method that is used in battles. If there are powerful repeat offenders, You can also use the devil fruit curse to increase their weakness and then imprison them. Even multiple devil fruit curses can be superimposed on repeat offenders, making them unable to break Sea Stone's captivity. At this time, the golden light on Robin's body began to slowly dissipate. Seeing this, EC also sent the devil fruit cursed black air into the noble phantasm. When Robin woke up and felt the changes in his body, Robin couldn't help but sighed. I didn't expect this kind of change in my destiny. It's a novel experience. Hearing this, EC smiled lightly. Okay, now do you study the historical text first, or go out with me first? Robin looked at the pagoda stone and chose to leave first with EC. The historical text is here, and I can come in and watch it at any time. So, I'd better go out with His Highness first. After all, there's still things to be dealt with outside. I plan to study it after everything is dealt with. After being transformed into the noble phantasm of life, Robin's way of thinking began to slowly change. Everything began to move silently towards EC's place. 96, West Blue Mafia Co-Governance Island. Godfather Island, hearing Robin's plan, EC didn't say anything, but took Robin and left the small world of Wangzabeo. At this time, Dawn was also sailing aimlessly at sea. After EC returned to the deck with Robin, Monet's figure quickly came to EC's side. As for Reiju, Sugar, and the others, they are busy with their own business. Your Highness. After bowing to EC, Monet greeted Robin again. Sister Robin. As a noble phantasm of life, Monet discovered Robin's identity when he first came here. Just in time, Monet, you are here. After watching Monet say hello to Robin, EC gently commanded, Robin is his own now, and he will be the same as you in the future. 5. During this time, let Lena take Robin again. Also, you can get acquainted with Robin. If there is anything Robin doesn't understand, you and Lena can answer her. Hearing this, MO 287, 9 nodded lightly and responded, Okay, Your Highness. Afterwards, Monet walked to Robin's side and took her with a smile. Sister Robin, we will take care of each other in the future. Now, let me take you to meet Lena first. 39 Robin smiled slightly. In the future, please take care of me. 35. However, before I go, I still have something to report to His Highness. Oh! Hearing this, EC's heart moved. Could it be the historical text Steele mentioned in the original book that Robin discovered by chance? It would be great if it really was like that. After all, he now has 16 historical text stone tablets. As long as you collect 4 more pieces, your physique will be able to evolve again. At that time, his physique can be said to have reached the ceiling of this world. Among the currently known historical text stone tablets, the only ones that can be easily obtained are the 2 pieces from Alabasta and the one from the Fishman Island. If what Robin said was really the one she happened to discover, then she would soon be able to evolve her physique again. His Royal Highness, during these years, I have found a historical text stone tablet on Block Island. 35 EC's eyes lit up as Robin's words came out. Block Island? Is it far from here? Hearing this, Robin took out a chart from his underwear. Open way to check it out, and then show the chart in front of EC. His Royal Highness, according to the map, it is still quite far from here. 55. I have only been to Block Island once. Although it is recorded on the chart, I am really not familiar with it. 5. The main reason is that I have been fleeing everywhere these years, and I don't dare to go there again, for fear of attracting attention. EC took the map in front of him and looked down. I saw that the locations of the various islands on this chart were very clear. Not only that, but on the charts, there are even special fish distributions in some sea areas. Under the guidance of Robin's fingers, EC quickly found the sea area where he and others were. Then, looking along the route on the way to Block Island, there is a huge island blocking the front. Godfather Island. Seeing the name of the island, EC couldn't help but think of the prevailing mafia in West Blue. Aside, Robin also heard EC's murmur. After discovering EC's doubts, he took the initiative to explain it to EC. His Royal Highness, Godfather Island, is an island jointly run by the West Blue Mafia. Your Highness should know that in the West Blue waters, the Mafia prevails. The Mafia can basically be found all over the sea. In West Blue, although there are many Mafia, most of them are controlled by the 5 Mafia families. The 5 mafia families in West Blue can be said to rule all the mafia in West Blue. The 5 mafia families are the Al, the Gambino, the Colombo, the Sopigi, and the Capone. The underground world of West Blue is basically ruled by the 5 mafia families. The 5 patriarchs of today's 5 mafia families are Al Calo, Gambino Ansi, Colombo Rick, Sopigi Dini, and Capone Cohen. 99. Godfather Island is also the only island in West Blue that does not belong to the 5 mafia families alone. Every 10 years, all the mafia in West Blue have a mafia convention on Godfather Island. So, because of its special status, Godfather Island is now an island jointly governed by the 5 major mafia families. There's a lot of dirty stuff from the various mafia being traded. Therefore, it is also known as the largest underground trading market in West Blue. Even Marine and the world government are not going to discipline Father Island. From what I've heard, Godfather Island often sells some of the sea's secret treasures, devil fruits. So if your highness is interested, you can go there. Hearing this, EC's eyes suddenly lit up. Devil fruits are often shot, which means that there must be some devil fruit stored somewhere. If so, it's worth a visit. Devil fruit, I am very interested. Touching his chin, EC's tone had a hint of excitement. It seems that it is necessary to go to Godfather Island. As for Block Island, there's no need to hurry. You can wait for a while. The historical text stone tablet is a very heavy thing, and most people can't move it if they want to. After speaking, EC turned to Monet, who was beside him, and ordered again. Monet, you notify the people in the intelligence department and ask them to send someone to Brock Island to see if the historical text stone tablet is still there. Also, give this chart to Akatsuki and let her control the Dawn to sail in the direction of Godfather Island. After speaking, EC spoke to Robin again. As for Robin, just say so. 99. Follow Lina and Monet to get acquainted first. As for the historical text stone tablets and historical books, you can read them whenever you want after you're familiar with them. 39. Hearing EC's orders, Monet and Robin nodded in succession. Afterwards, Monet took the chart and took Robin to find Lina and Xiao. EC, on the other hand, lay casually on a reclining chair, picked up the sunglasses on the side, and began to look forward to the harvest of Godfather Island. After all, no matter how long it took to go to sea, not a single ancient species was obtained. This time, I just don't know if there's any harvest of ancient devil fruits. Avery, She-Mastiff, and Orton have basically not changed much in strength since they went to sea. The reason is because they have reached the bottleneck period. As for Dylan, because his fruit is cold, it is not as restrictive as the animal system. His strength reached the level of ordinary vice admiral as early as a month ago. The 3 of Avery are still hovering at the rear admiral level. If the common devil fruit cannot break through the bottleneck, 1.0 will never be able to break through to the level of vice admiral strength. If they can get the ancient devil fruit this time, they can replace the existing ordinary devil fruit for the 3 of them. P.S. These are some settings of the book itself. Please do not substitute it into other books. In the setting of this book, animal type and common type abilities are generally the highest and can only have rear admiral level combat power. Only by breaking through the limit bottleneck can you have the combat power of the ordinary vice admiral level, but there's basically no room for improvement after the breakthrough. The upper limit of the strength of animal type and ancient type abilities can only reach the admiral candidate level at most. After awakening, ancient devil fruit power, users can rely on their powerful physique to hold down admiral level powerhouses for a short time. As for the animal type devil fruit of the Phantom Beast species, there's basically no need to say much. As long as it is developed, the admiral level is appropriate. The above are some of the settings of this book. Please do not substitute them into other books. 97. Arriving at Godfather Island. The pursuit of the 5 major mafia orders Godfather Island is a special island. Even in the entire West Blue, its reputation is extremely loud. The reason is because this island is the island where the 5 mafia families jointly rule. In addition, due to the high-quality auctions held by the island all year round, the fame of Godfather Island has spread farther and farther. This day is the annual Godfather's Day auction on Godfather Island. Godfather's Day is a festival that was born on the day when the 5 major mafia families ruled together. Its purpose is to celebrate and bless the continued prosperity of the West Blue Mafia. On this day, basically the famous mafia in West Blue will come up with all kinds of treasures for auction. Therefore, during this time, the passenger flow of Godfather Island has reached its peak. There's an endless stream of people coming and going from major forces. Above the sky, under the bottom of the dawn, there's a thick layer of clouds carrying the ship. Among the white clouds, dawn was hidden in the clouds. On the deck, EC and others stood on the bow, looking down at Godfather Island below. This time, Monet and Robin come down with me and see. Others just wait here. Hearing EC's orders, Monet and Robin responded with a light one after another. As Xiao beckoned gently, suddenly, a 22 white jade rose out of thin air. The 3 people carrying EC slowly landed towards the Godfather Island below. Soon, in a rare forest on Godfather Island, Bayun landed here with the 3 of EC. Stepping on the land of Godfather Island, Robin couldn't help but let out a low laugh. "Your Highness, do you need me to cover up?" Hearing this, EC was slightly taken aback and looked at Robin with some doubts. "How did you come up with this idea?" Seeing this, Robin said after being silent for a while, "According to some of the information I have obtained before, the 5 mafia families should know what my identity represents. 35, so over the years, the 5 mafia families have all wanted to capture me and dedicate it to the world government. Point 39, and they also want to use this as an opportunity for them to develop toward a Grand Line position." Having said this, Robin paused slightly before continuing. "The West Blue Mafia, although very famous, for some reason, no matter how the Mafia develops, their power has never penetrated the waters of the Grand Line. Even the other 3 seas have limited the penetration and development of the West Blue Mafia for various reasons." 55 hearing this, EC also instantly understood something. If EC's expectations are not bad, only the world government can covertly prevent the development of the West Blue Mafia. And for this, presumably the 5 major mafia families in West Blue are aware of it. However, the power of the world government prevented the 5 major West Blue Mafia families from taking any offense. Therefore, the 5 major mafia families in West Blue had to stay in the waters of West Blue all the time. And now, Robin's appearance is undoubtedly a good vote. As an underworld force all over West Blue, the 5 major mafia families are also easy to find out about O'Hara and Robin. After all, no matter how careful those historians are, they will leave a lot of traces in West Blue. This has also led to the fact that these mafia families know a thing or two about Robin, O'Hara, and the world government. Therefore, long ago, the 5 major mafia families issued an order to kill Robin. The reason is that he wants to use Robin to dedicate to the world government, so as to try whether he can get the opportunity to enter the Grand Line or other sea areas. After trying to understand Robin's intention, EC also shook his head gently. "There's no need to cover up. Just follow me in an upright manner. 99, if those mafia families really do something to you, don't blame me for being rude. In this world, after all, power comes first. It's fine if they don't come. If they do it first, we have a reason to fight back." Speaking of this, EC's mouth twitched slightly. "Maybe we might have a great harvest. After all, they're the 5 major mafia families that have existed for so long. Their treasures should be very rich." Hearing this, Monet, who didn't speak, and Robin, who heard this, were slightly taken aback. Unexpectedly, EC still had this idea. However, when I think of EC's immense power, it is quite normal to have this thought. Moreover, the 2 women also thought for a while in their minds, and their eyes lit up. If it is done, the treasures that can be obtained will be countless. EC glanced at Monet and Robin, who had reacted, and nodded subconsciously, as expected of the person I liked. The brain reaction is still very fast, although I like beautiful women. It is meaningless if beautiful women are in vases. A beauty vase is at most a tool for yourself to relax your body and mind. But a beautiful woman with good looks and a bright head is different. Strength and the like may not need them, but some daily or trivial things can still be done for themselves. Even if they can go further, it is not impossible for them to enter the kingdom and serve in the future. Let's go and see that lively auction house. 99 walking in front. EC gently waved his hand to the two women behind him. My observation Haki told me it was lively there. Behind him, Monet and Robin nodded and followed EC quickly. Passing through the forest, EC took Monet and Robin into the largest city on Godfather Island unabashedly. Passing through the city gate, EC's eyes flashed slightly, and he glanced at a few figures that disappeared from the corner without leaving a trace. 287 to EC's surprise. He didn't expect that the three of them would be recognized as soon as they walked into the city gate. No, or rather, Robin was recognized as soon as he entered the city gate. Under the shroud of observation Haki, those figures turned and left when they saw Robin. Robin, it seems you're more important than you think. 99, turning his head and saying something to Robin with a chuckle, EC started to walk again. Behind him, Robin was slightly taken aback by this sudden sentence. However, Robin reacted instantly after a second. It seems that his identity has been exposed. Although I don't know why EC was able to find out so quickly. However, Robin still believes in EC's words. Feeling a little nervous inside, suddenly, Monet, who was beside him, reached out and gently grabbed her hand. Although he didn't say anything, Robin immediately understood what Monet meant. Slightly pursing his lips, Robin looked at EC's back and grabbed Monet's hand suddenly. A relieved smile suddenly bloomed on his face. You're already a member of His Highness EC. Why are you nervous? Thinking of this, Robin pulled Monet quickly to catch up with EC's figure. Under the gaze of some spies, EC walked into an auction house with Monet and Robin. 98 auction of 4 devil fruits, just when EC took Monet and Robin into the auction room to participate in the auction. In the center of the city, a towering tower rises to the top. At this time, the direct descendants of the 5 mafia families were listening to a report from a mafia minion. 5 lords, we saw Nico Robin walk into our city with our own eyes. The mafia minions knelt on the ground with their heads lowered and looked extremely respectful. A man and a woman were with her. Looking at that posture, Nico Robin should have joined a certain force. 35 The latest news is that Nico Robin is now at the Capone family auction. 35 Beside the round table, 5 people sitting in different positions couldn't help showing a touch of joy after hearing the report of the mafia gangsters. I didn't expect that after so many years of searching, Nico Robin turned himself into the net. El Caxiu, one of the heirs of the L family, was the first to speak after listening to the report. Indeed, I don't know what faction she joined, but in West Blue, our mafia is the most powerful. Gambino Angie, one of the heirs of the Gambino family, nodded softly after hearing El Caxiu's words. Then what should I do now? Call someone directly? Or should I check the faction first? Colobo Rain, one of the heirs of the Colobo family, tapped the table lightly and asked the other 4. Don't waste time to check. Just ask someone to catch those 3 people. Capone Corky, one of the heirs of the Capone family, slapped the table directly after hearing Colobo Renee's inquiry. Although it was the auction house of the Capone family, Capone Corky decided to arrest him directly. Since Corky doesn't mind, why should we hesitate? Sopigi Deba, one of the Sopigi family heirs, after hearing the words of Capone Corky. He also shrugged, agreeing with Capone Corky's words. Soon, the 5 of you spoke to each other after a little negotiation. In the end, the decision was made to arrest him directly. In an instant, the moment the order was issued, the entire Godfather Island began to stir. A large number of mafia members surrounded the auction house with weapons. Such a huge and undisguised action made the rest of the entire Godfather Island look at him. What happened on the island? Why are all the mafia members gathered? I don't know, but shouldn't be our business. TSK, TSK, TSK. It seems that a major event has indeed happened. Look, the 5 mafia masters are all dispatched. 55. Hey, I didn't expect even them to be alarmed. It seems that we have discovered something incredible, but we didn't hear anything in it. Is it a pirate invasion or a mafia rebellion? Now let's think about what to do first. Be careful if you don't pay attention. you will die. Well, this brother, what you said makes sense, or brother, let's go together, or we can take care of it. Brother, you still know how to protect yourself. Okay, let's act together later. By the way, what's your name, brother? My name is Yuan Daegu. I believe in light. Oh, my name is Satama. Faith, it should be fist. Oh, that's not bad. It seems that you are very confident in your own strength. Well, there's still a little bit of self-preservation. 35, just when mafia members all over Godfather Island were in action. At this moment, in a huge auction hall, an auctioneer is holding an auction of devil fruits. On the auction table at this time, 4 devil fruits are being placed in a red tray. Under the stage, a large number of auctioneers showed greedy eyes, staring at the 4 devil fruits on the stage. Pop as the auction hammer fell. The auctioneer was preparing for the auction. Suddenly, a loud noise resounded in the auction hall. Boom! In an instant, the closed door of the auction house was suddenly kicked open. The heavy door slammed into both sides as it was kicked open, and a loud bang was heard at the same time. Ta-ta-ta, ta-ta-ta-ta. Immediately afterwards, members of the mafia, like a black tide, rushed into the auction grounds one after another. In a short period of time, when everyone did not react, it occupied an important place in the entire auction venue. For a while, those auctioneers were silent. At this moment, Monet and Robin, who had been sitting in the corner of the auction house, glanced at EC in unison. In response, EC smiled lightly and said, "Looks like you two are guessing." Saying that, EC pouted towards a gate. "Look, isn't that coming?" Hearing this, Monet and Robin turned their heads to look. I saw that 5 figures slowly walked into the auction hall along with the sound of footsteps. As the 5 people walked into the auction, the eyes of many auctioneers suddenly shrank. Because the people who come here basically know the identities of these 5 people. Therefore, many auctioneers jumped in their hearts, worrying that something would go wrong. At this moment, after the 5L Caxiu entered the auction, immediately, under the direction of a mafia cadre, he looked at where the 3 of EC were. Immediately, the entire quiet auction hall followed the gazes of El Caxiu and the others. "Finally found you, Nico Robin." The moment they saw Robin, the 5 of El Caxiu immediately became happy. Hearing this, Robin was about to speak, but was stopped by EC reaching out his hand. As EC slowly got up, the eyes of everyone in the auction hall also turned to EC. At the same time, the brows of the heirs of the 5 major mafia families were slightly wrinkled. No matter what happened to Robin before, now she has joined me. 39, naturally, it was also sheltered by me. I didn't want to do it today, but you all found fault with me. 99, then. I'll move around a little too. 39, when EC's words were just finished, a sneer came from Gambino Angie's mouth. Zitzi puffed suddenly, Qian Zhao. A shining electric light flashed away. Then, in the terrified eyes of everyone in the auction house, a blood hole appeared above the eyebrows of Gambino Angie, who had just sneered. Zizizi. The sound of the electric arc exploded. Shining lightning flashed constantly on EC's body. "Fisk, is it bad to live? You have to find death." Following EC's whisper, he came out with a violent burst of momentum. Immediately, the people in the entire auction hall rolled their eyes and fell to the ground. "Monet, Robin, grab those 4 devil fruits and follow me." Hearing this, Monet instantly turned into snowflakes and floated to the auction stage. Under the terrified eyes of the auctioneer, he took the 4 devil fruits into his arms. Monet floated back to EC's back again. 100 million volts discharge. Boom. Zizizizizi. The moment Monet returned behind EC, a ferocious thunder burst out from EC's body. 99. The power of the thunder fruit. The Godfather Island, where thunder is raging without the slightest pity. Pale thunder and lightning were intertwined throughout the auction hall. The endless lightning turned into a pale net of thunder at this moment. Thunder net took shape in an instant, and at the moment when it took shape, all the mafia in the entire auction venue were hit by one after another of ferocious lightning. The power contained in the thunder and lightning instantly turned many mafia into coke. As for the 4 living heirs of the mafia family, EC's attention was paid to them. For EC, these four so-called heirs are rubbish. EC didn't have the slightest desire to talk to them at all. The moment the Thunder Net was formed, all the heirs of the Mafia family became coke on the spot. He hurriedly called for help, but he immediately received the lunch without saying a word. Zizizi. Lightning spreads along the ground. Thunder and lightning roamed the auction hall recklessly, like lion majesty. Feel the thunder and lightning lion majesty roaming around. The auctioneers who resisted EC's slight release of Conqueror's Haki were terrified, but did not dare to make any changes. He could only watch helplessly as a large number of Mafia members fell to the ground helplessly under the attack of thunder and lightning. Boom! In the sky of Godfather Island, I do not know when dark clouds began to gather. Lightning like a dragon and snake roamed in the depths of the dark clouds. What's going on? Why has the sky changed in an instant? Look for a place to avoid lightning. Hi. No, be careful. A thunderbolt has fallen. 35 outside. When other people on Godfather Island were terrified, an incomparably thick thunder beam crashed down. Boom! The thunder beam slammed onto the roof of the auction house. In an instant, the thunder beam penetrated the roof, penetrated the floor, and landed on EC with a bang. Zizizi. Zizizi. At this moment, the original thunder net suddenly expanded and thickened under the blessing of the thunder beam. 35 no. 99 help. No, sir. Forgive me. 5 what? After getting the blessing of the thunder beam, the lightning net in the auction venue suddenly became larger, and it penetrated the wall and extended towards the outside of the venue. In an instant, all the members of the Mafia inside and outside the auction hall were directly reduced to ashes. Under the endless electric light, all the Mafia members who surrounded the auction hall died of lightning in an instant. Zizizi, call out. The sound of thunder and lightning sounded, and EC's figure turned into an electric light and disappeared into the auction hall. Seeing this scene, Monet wrapped his arms around Robin's slender waist. His lower body turned into snowflakes, and the two flew out of the auction. However, at the last moment of leaving, Robin's hands were lightly folded together. Use the flower fruit ability to take a permanent pointer from each of the 5 dead Mafia family heirs. Godfather Island, in midair. EC's figure bathed in thunder appeared in the sky. Boom! At this time, above the sky, the dark clouds were closed, and lightning bolts were constantly shuttled in and out of the dark clouds. The endless thunder made a terrifying sound of thunder like Tianwei. Boom! With a terrifying thunderous sound, it suddenly exploded. On the entire Godfather Island, everyone seemed to feel a slight tremor on the island. The sky that was originally covered with dark clouds turned into countless terrifying thunderclouds at this moment. The boundless terrifying thunder is like a thunder dragon that destroys the world. Roll between thunderclouds. Bite. Roar. Boom. After getting the thunder fruit, this is the first time that EC has used the power of thunder so recklessly. The terrifying light of thunder, like a beam of light connecting the heavens and the earth, was imprinted in the eyes of many terrified people on Godfather Island. The top observation Haki covers the entire Godfather Island. EC, who was bathed in thunder, raised his hand slightly. There was a flash of thunder in his eyes, and immediately, countless thunder beams crashed down from the endless thunder cloud. Billion volts falling thunder. Kba! Circles of strange waves emanated from EC's body. Slightly press your right hand down. Boom! The endless thunder cloud made a violent thunderous sound. As if receiving a supreme order, the thunder dragon, which was rolling among the thunder clouds, began to boil. Boom! Boom! Boom, boom, boom! Under the watchful eyes of countless people on Godfather Island. Endless thunder crashing down. The dazzling thunder beam fell from the thunder cloud into the Godfather Island like a flash of thunder. In a trance, the beams of thunder beams at this moment are like thunder dragons that are 100 meters thick. At this moment, Thunder Dragon flew out of the thunder cloud and fell straight down. Boom, 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 boom. Where the thunder beams went, all the Mafia gathering places on Godfather Island were shattered. The tyrannical thunder beam even pierced the Godfather Island holes 100 meters wide. All of a sudden, the entire Godfather Island seemed to have turned into a rag doll, with holes emerging one by one. At this moment, the people who were still awake on Godfather Island all knelt on the ground and prayed that EC would not affect them. Such a violent and tyrannical thunder made everyone on the island have no heart to resist, and some only the endless humble prayers. Bathed in the center of the endless thunder, EC indifferently looked down at Godfather Island, which was constantly being devastated and ravaged by the thunder. Countless mafia strongholds and gathering places for mafia members were wiped out by the thunder beam. At this moment, this island has turned into a world of thunder. What a mighty force! In a single thought, 10,000 thunders fell and turned into a world of thunder. If I develop the ringing thunder fruit to the level of awakening, then this place will become a real, permanent minefield. EC felt the boundless, terrifying power within him. This is the first time that EC has fully unleashed the power of the thunder fruit. There has never been a real opportunity to experiment before, and now it is a great opportunity for EC to experiment with the fruit of his own thunder. Oh, is it over already? At this time, EC's observation Haki felt that the raging thunder beam had stopped. At this moment on Godfather Island, all the mafia-related buildings and groups were wiped out under the violent thunder. Glancing at the people on the island who were still kneeling and praying, EC used observation Haki to scan again and disappeared into the air as a lightning bolt. At this time, thunderclouds appeared on Godfather Island. Because without EC's control, the thundercloud began to slowly dissipate. However, as it gradually dissipated, the thunderclouds would still randomly drop streaks of lightning from time to time. According to this dissipating speed, without 10 days and a half months, it seems that it cannot be completely dissipated. However, EC has stopped paying attention to this kind of thing. At this time, EC's figure has appeared on the Dawn, which has been floating in the sky. 100 permanent pointers to the base camps of the 5 major mafia families, Your Highness. On the deck of the Dawn, when EC's figure appeared, Monet and Robin, who had returned to the boat, and Xia Tang, who had been on the boat, saluted. Nodding lightly, EC looked at the thunderclouds that were gradually dispersing and shrinking on Godfather Island. Then I found a spot at random and sat down. Seeing this, Monet stepped forward slightly and took out the 4 devil fruits from the auction from his waist. Your Highness, these 4 are the devil fruits obtained from the auction. EC reached out and took the 4 devil fruits and put them into the king's treasure. It was originally planned to be transformed into a noble phantasm immediately. But considering that after the noble phantasm is transformed, there will be no devil fruit curse. Immediately, EC stopped his movements. After thinking about it, EC put the 4 devil fruits away without turning them into noble phantasms. After waiting for it, let people eat it and transform it into a noble phantasm together with the devil fruit curse. After all, EC didn't plan to let go of the opportunity to get a different noble phantasm with impressive abilities. It's a pity that such a big Godfather Island has only 4 devil fruits. Shaking his head, EC sighed regretfully. This harvest, the so-called 5 major mafia families are too stingy. In such a grand auction, there are only so many things. Aside, Robin covered his mouth and smiled slightly after hearing EC's words. His Royal Highness, even if they're really good things, those mafia families will definitely not take them out. After all, they must be using good things first. Hearing this, EC shook his head helplessly. It's okay, I'm just complaining. Pat with a few sounds, the table next to it rang. I saw that after EC finished speaking, Robin took out 5 permanent pointers from his bottomless double white headlights. For a while, EC, Monet, and others also focused on the 5 permanent pointers on the table. Sister Robin, what do these 5 pointers mean? Monet looked at the permanent pointer that Robin placed on the table and frowned slightly. I had left with Robin before, but I didn't notice Robin's little actions. Therefore, Monet seemed a little puzzled after seeing Robin's actions at this time. But EC's eyes lit up after seeing the 5 permanent hands that Robin took out. Although there were some guesses in his heart, EC still looked at Robin and waited for Robin's words. After hearing Monet's words, Robin's mouth twitched slightly. When I just left the auction, I quietly used the ability of Hua Hua Fruit. These 5 permanent pointers were taken from the hands of the 5 dead heirs of the Mafia family. 35, if I'm not mistaken. These 5 permanent pointers should point to the stronghold of the 5 Mafia families in West Blue. Hearing this, everyone on the deck was shocked. Especially Monet, she exclaimed after Robin finished speaking. I didn't expect, Sister Robin, that you could remove 5 permanent hands in such a short period of time. At this moment, EC raised his hand and picked up the 5 permanent pointers on the table, looked at them curiously, and threw them to Akatsuki, who was not far away. Xiao, check the chart and head to the nearest island. 35. Let's see if these 5 permanent pointers are the home of the Mafia family. If it's true, then it's time for our harvest. Speaking of which, EC seemed to see a lot of treasure beckoning to him. However, before everything is finalized, EC didn't appear too excited. Not far away, Xiao immediately returned to the Dawn's navigation room after hearing EC's instructions. Not long after, the Dawn, hidden among the layers of white clouds, slowly flew away from the sky above Godfather Island. On the boat, EC and the others waited curiously. Today, Dawn's flight speed is still very fast. Presumably, it won't be long before we reach the first island, since the 5 Mafia families have chosen to turn the Godfather Island into a co-governed island. Then, the base camp where the 5 Mafia families are located will definitely not be too far away. Otherwise, an island with such huge interest would have already been occupied by people. Swoosh, the night passed, and the dawn was still flying fast. When EC woke up from his slumber, he received news that Dawn had arrived at its first destination. 4 Flower Zero, after washing up quickly, EC went directly to the deck without even having breakfast. Your Highness, I have seen Your Highness. Seeing EC coming, everyone hurriedly saluted respectfully. How's the situation? 99, EC waved his hand, indicating that he didn't need to be polite, and then asked directly. By the way, where did Monet go? Did she go down to investigate? Looking around, EC found that Monet was not on the Dawn. Hearing this, the sugar on the side immediately nodded his head. My sister went to explore the island below. My sister can fly and can turn into snowflakes and sneak in. So my sister went down to investigate after receiving the news. EC raised his brows when he heard the words, but did not expect Monet to go alone. Some uneasy, EC walked to the bow, and the tyrannical observation Haki was released instantly. The invisible observation Haki continued to spread downward. Soon, EC's oversized observation Haki enveloped the island below. Meanwhile, when EC's observation Haki had just taken over the island, EC found that Monet was turning into snowflakes and constantly flying towards Dawn. Oh, have you returned? It seems to have found useful information. As EC's words fell, a large cloud of snowflakes quickly appeared on the deck from bottom to top. In the endless snowflakes, Monet's figure slowly condensed out. Monet, tell me about your investigation results. Seeing that Monet wanted to salute, EC interrupted her movement directly. Hearing this, Monet was stunned for a moment, and then quickly replied respectfully. Your Highness, this island is the base camp of the L family. I found El Callo, the current head of the L family, on the island. Also, the treasure trove of this Mafia family has also been found. If yes, the 5 permanent pointers that Sister Robin obtained yesterday are the locations of the 5 major Mafia family bases. After hearing Monet's words, a light flashed in EC's eyes, and Robin had a happy smile on his face. It seems that he did not guess 10 wrong. 101, take all the treasures of the 5 Mafia families. Very well, it looks like this trip to West Blue will be our biggest takeaway. After listening to Monet's words, EC couldn't help but bring a little joy in his tone. Monet, show me the way to the treasure house first. Also, Akatsuki, arrange a reasonable route immediately. 35, when I come back, I will go to the other Mafia family base camp islands immediately. After that, EC flew down towards Air Island with Monet's elementalization. As for Xiao, After hearing EC's order, he immediately bit the lollipop in his mouth, then swallowed it in one gulp, and hurriedly ran to the navigation room. The remaining Robin, Reiju, and the three sugar girls looked at each other and waited silently on the deck. None of the three of them have natural abilities, so even if they want to help, they can't do it. And there are maids led by Lina on the ship 303, so all the affairs on the ship do not need the three women to deal with. All of a sudden, the three girls found that they had nothing to do. In desperation, they could only wait here while chatting with each other. On this side, EC took Monet. One of them turned into electric light, and the other turned into snowflakes and landed straight down. Led by Monet, plus the oversized observation Haki coverage of EC. The two turned left and right all the way and came to an unusually hidden treasure trove without disturbing anyone. Don't look at the 5 mafia families in the West Blue waters. However, due to the secret containment of the world government, the development of West Blue's mafia family has not been greatly improved. It can be known from the original work that one of the supernovas in the original work, Capone Beach, is from the West Blue Mafia, and even the mafia that unified the West Blue. In the original book, Capone Beach still doesn't know what Haki is. It was only after entering the Grand Line that Capone Beach understood what Haki was. It can be seen how much the world government has restrained West Blue. The world government knows that the mafia is endless, and the mafia is like a weed in West Blue. Wildfires burn, spring winds blow, and that's the state of the mafia in West Blue. It is also because of this that the world government directly allows the mafia to develop in West Blue, but outside of West Blue, the world government has been vigorously curbing it. It is because of various reasons that EC can easily sneak into the treasure house of the mafia family. Generally speaking, if there are people who can use observation Haki, EC will definitely be discovered. After all, it is such a sensitive place as a treasure trove. It's just that there are no ifs in all of this. Reality is reality, and reality is what it is now. Puff Puff, a high-voltage arc, is constantly dancing in midair. Outside the treasure house, the mafia guards died instantly under the high voltage of the arc. Pieces of coke fell to the ground, giving off a scorching smell. Seeing this, Monet quickly stepped forward to condense snowflakes and penetrated into the keyhole of the treasure house. As the snowflakes solidified according to the pattern of the keyhole, an ice and snow key appeared in Monet's hand. The key turned slightly, accompanied by a clack of gears turning. I saw that the door to the treasure house began to slowly open. Seeing this, EC and Monet walked into the treasure house without hesitation. As soon as they entered, EC and Monet's eyes were filled with gold and silver jewelry and a lot of Bailey. Without the slightest hesitation, golden ripples appeared. Gold, silver, jewelry, antiques, medicinal herbs, guns, and ammunition. Wherever they go, everything is collected into the treasure of the king. Finally, when they reached the deepest part of the treasure house, 5 devil fruits appeared in front of EC and Monet. I didn't expect that there are 5 devil fruits here. Looking at the devil fruit in front of him, EC couldn't help but chuckle. As expected to be one of the 5 mafia families in West Blue, the treasure house is good. While speaking, EC took away all 5 devil fruits without hesitation. Later, after the two took away all the treasures of the entire treasure house, they left here directly. Originally, EC planned to directly kill the elf family. However, it would be bad to think that it would be bad if the other 4 mafia families were disturbed by his own shot. It would be bad if the other 4 mafia families ran away with their treasures while EC set out to clean up the elf family. So, in order not to startle the snake, EC can only give up this idea. However, although he gave up the idea of taking a shot, EC still wrote down his attitude towards the 5 mafia families. When the other day, Kuin comes to the world, then the 5 mafia families will be destroyed easily. EC and Monet quickly returned to the dawn as arcs and snowflakes cut through the air. Immediately afterwards, EC did not have the slightest trace of ink and directly ordered Xiao to control the dawn to fly towards another mafia family base. The residences of the 5 major mafia families in West Blue are, in general, extremely hidden. Unfortunately, because of Robin, EC got 5 permanent hands. This also means that the base camp of the 5 mafia families is completely undefended against EC. Therefore, in the next 7 days, the treasure houses of the remaining 4 major mafia families were all visited by EC and Monet. In the Gambino family, in addition to a lot of treasures, they also accidentally obtained a large sharp knife and 2 devil fruits. In the Colobo family, in addition to a large amount of treasure, they also obtained 3 devil fruits. In the Sopeji family, the harvest is basically the same as that of the Colobo family, except for the treasure, which is 3 devil fruits. As for the last Capone family, the harvest of devil fruits can be said to be the least, and there is only 1 devil fruit in the entire treasure trove. However, in terms of weapons, he accidentally got 3 big sharp knives. Then, 7 days later, the 5 major mafia families issued a bounty order in unison. There was only 1 black figure on the reward order, but the content of the reward order made the whole West Blue sensational. The 5 major mafia families did not have the slightest cover for 1.0 and bluntly stated that all their treasure troves had been stolen. That's why they jointly issued a reward order, and the amount of the reward order reached $1 billion. $1 billion per.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.